Yeah, it says the likelihood of worsening a small fire is higher when you fart in space, and it even can be fatal.
You know, it's crazy because like
how'd he die? He farted in space.
That's the funny part about it. Is like these are like the most brilliant minds in the country and in the world.
Designing an air filter specifically for the farts.
We've got a fart problem.
Yeah.
Okay, welcome back to Macrodosing. It's Thursday. It's September 28th. That's just off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's the 28th. And in breaking news right now, Arian is finding out as we speak, Dame Lillard has been traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. He's a Buck, Arian. I say don't even play the season. Bucks championship. Easy. Dream team.
What did I get traded for?
So Drew Holiday is going to the Blazers, but they're probably going to trade him again. And then I don't know the rest of the terms.
Drew Holiday, DeAndre Ayton, Tamani Kamara, a 2029 unprotected first-round pick, unprotected Milwaukee swap rights in 2028 and 2030, and the Suns get Yusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nasir Little, and Keon Johnson, VFL Keon Johnson.
That's a hell of a trade for the Bucks, man.
Yeah, I would say so.
What? I don't understand. Portland just was like, we appreciate what you did here, man. Go try to get you one.
I think Portland said, yeah, kind of, we appreciate your time here, and we don't want to trade you to the Heat. So because you asked us to go to the Heat, we don't want to trade you to the Heat. We're going to send you somewhere else.
Man, I really wanted Dame to go to like a power market. You know what I'm saying? Because he deserves, like, he's one of the best that has ever played. But like, you'll never know. Like, he just don't get the exposure that a lot of these other cats do.
I feel like with the Bucks though, since you got Giannis on the team, he's gonna get noticed. They're gonna be in the playoffs. They're gonna be playing in meaningful games. So
it'd be like when the Cavs got a lot more coverage on TV because LeBron was there.
Yeah. I say good for Dame. Do you think that people still love Dame, or do you think people soured on him after this trade demand?
If you don't like Dame because he's like, yo, get me out of here, you're a dweeb. Like, doesn't even matter. You're a dork. Like, you know, like, what do you? This man has stood his ground. Said, I'm not leaving. I'm not going nowhere. They dropped the ball on not trying to get him any help there, and so at some point you got to be like, all right, man, I want to win. I play basketball to win. Like, he's made hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, he wants to win. If you don't root for that, something wrong with you.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like, Dame is a fun guy to watch. He's a really fucking good player. He's put in so much work, so much effort for that team. They haven't really done much to surround him with talent. They got rid of some of his co-stars out there, and it's like, yeah, let the man. I think we need to normalize chasing a ring. Women do it all the time. Let guys do it. Right? This is boy math.
It is a little bit of a double standard there. We villainize KD and all these women out here doing the same thing. I feel you, dog. That's a great point, PFT. That's right. PFT made it, not me.
Ring by spring.
Yeah, I'm gonna be rooting for Milwaukee. I think I want to see Dame. I want to see great players play in big time games. That's what I say. And it sucks when you have a superstar like Dame that hasn't been able to play in like really meaningful games. He's had a couple playoff series that he's actually showed up for. He's been pretty good.
He showed up. Yeah, he showed up.
But he can't do it on his own.
Nah, you need help, man. If history's any indicator, you need help.
Yeah.
I think it's like, I saw this somewhere, man, but there's like maybe 2 or 3 teams that have ever won a championship that have at least 2 Hall of Famers. I think something like that, something crazy like that. Like, so you need like at least 2 you need killers, dog. Like, I think the Pistons maybe.
Yeah,
Pistons,
although everybody gets in the Hall of Fame in basketball because it's the basketball Hall of Fame. It's not just like the NBA Hall of Fame. So I would imagine that
Is it really?
Rasheed Wallace, is he a Hall of Famer?
No,
he's not.
I didn't think so. Hold on, you trying to tell me there's no NBA Hall of Fame? It's just a basketball.
Yeah, it's
Hall of
the
Fame?
National Basketball Hall of Fame.
I didn't know that.
Like all the best college coaches are in the same Hall of Fame that like LeBron and Michael Jordan are in.
Oh, that's goofy. Why do they do that?
I don't know, but you get like high school coaches, you get college coaches. There's a lot of people in the Hall of Fame.
That shit don't mean nothing now.
I think Rasheed Wallace. I think Rasheed Wallace should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, if they put in high school coaches.
No,
in
Ben
the same
Wallace
shit,
made
fucking
it.
afford.
Ben Wallace is in
I
there.
just looked it up. Yeah, Ben Wallace
Okay.
made it.
Really?
Is LeBron James in the Hall of
Well,
Fame?
Ben
No,
he's
Wallace
still
was like a,
playing.
wasn't Ben Wallace like a 3-time defensive player of the year?
Probably.
Yeah, he should be.
Yeah.
He
And led their
should be
league
there.
in rebounds a bunch of times.
I'm more
Yeah,
surprised that Rasheed's not in and that Ben is in. Ben was a great player, but Rasheed Wallace played for forever and he was pretty good.
I'm just perplexed. I had no idea. I gotta Google this, man. This is crazy.
And Rasheed Wallace, his college days were crazy too. Like
Yeah.
he was crazy good in college.
Billy brings up a great point though. Is LeBron James really that good? He's not in the Hall of Fame.
Facts.
True.
Yeah, he's not in it.
He's not in it. LeBron James is not a Hall of Famer. Not in my book.
Yeah.
Not in my book. Not yet. We'll see.
Shohei, not in the Hall of Fame.
Not in the Hall
that
of Fame.
good.
Nope. These guys, we talk about these guys like they're all-time greats. But, okay, LeBron James versus Michael Jordan, only one of them is in the Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
So, case closed. Yeah, that's crazy news to be breaking right now. Wild. And that voice that you heard was Uncle Chaps. Uncle Chaps is joining us today. We've got a great episode. We're going to talk about space. We have an interview with Jose Hernandez, a real-life astronaut. Crazy story he had. He grew up as a migrant worker, traveling with his family, working in the fields in California, and worked his way up to being a genius and traveling to outer space for 2 weeks. He was in outer space for 2 weeks. Good guy. We're going to talk to him in a little bit. Before we get into all that, this episode is brought to you by 3Chi. As always, I love 3Chi. Anybody else here love 3Chi?
Oh brother, do I ever.
Mad Dog just did the Raise the Roof thing, which I haven't seen in probably 15 years.
I'm gonna take some and watch that guy's movie.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. Million Miles Away
Mm-hmm.
on some 3Chi. Mad Dog with the I honestly haven't seen anybody do that. Do
The
people
legit
still
Raise
do
the
that?
Roof.
It's a good move. We should bring that back.
I do it like all the time.
And Raise the Roof does get the party going.
It does, yeah.
I mean, because think about it, when like a NFL player makes a great play and they tell the crowd to pump up, it'd
Yeah.
be great to do that at like Target.
Get a great deal on, like, they got loofahs 2 for 1.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Raise the Roof. Let's go, baby.
Who's
Clearance rack, 70% off the lowest price.
We got-
Brother, let's go.
We got Glade plugins. Buy one, get one half off. They might be satanic, but they are buy one, get one half off. Let's raise the roof, Target.
They got some really sick stuff in that dollar bin at the front of the store. Oh, hell yeah.
Who invented Raise the Roof?
Oh, that's a good. Wasn't it? Was it Kid and Play?
I think they invented
bruh.
everything.
It wasn't. Was it Kid and Play? Let's give them credit. That's a big cultural thing. I think they should get credit for that.
No, they did the Kid and Play dance.
Yeah,
Which was iconic.
yeah, it was
Yeah,
good.
Lock the legs.
they did a lot of shit for hip hop actually, but no, they didn't invent Raise the Roof. Man.
Wait, does raise the roof? What does it literally mean? You know, like historically, is it about like raising the roof on a
Historically.
convertible?
So, Billy, I have the answer. So, the saying "raise the
Oh.
roof" probably originated in the local dialect of the United States South, sometime in the mid 1800s, meaning "raise a ruckus" or "make an uproar."
1800s.
Wow.
They were raising the
Oh.
roof in the 1800s.
Oh, is it like
no.
barn? Is it like barn raising? Is that what it's
No.
about?
No, it's like
I just don't
to
think it's
cause a
that deep.
ruckus.
Y'all doing way too much.
No, but like language is interesting because there's so much stuff with historical connotation that we just have forgotten.
If the over under was 1980, we would have went way over.
That's shocking to me. So, like in the Civil War, like when they marched to the ocean and they burned down the South,
Whoop, whoop.
and the Union Army was just like pumping.
General
pumping
Sherman
up.
was
Yeah.
raising the roof.
Let's go.
It also said that there's a Luke song about it. I don't know.
Luke.
I don't know what Luke is,
I don't
but
know.
that's
Like-
that's fascinating.
If the Union Army was doing it and it originated in the South, that's really pimping your home run there.
Yeah,
is,
it
yeah.
is.
That's
The
horns
original
down.
bat
Yeah,
flip.
that's horns down.
That's horns down.
Burning Atlanta
Oh
to
my
the ground
God.
and just pumping it up. Man, okay, well that is kind of fascinating. I learned something else that's very problematic on the golf course the other day. You guys know what rule of thumb means?
Yeah, I've watched Boondock Saints.
Yeah, that's where the guys knew it from.
Yeah.
Arian, do you know what rule of thumb means?
I don't.
Does it have to do with beating your wife?
Yes,
So long as you use a rod no bigger than your thumb.
that's the rule of thumb.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Is that
pretty?
it's like a biblical reference?
I'm not sure.
I think it has to.
Mad Dog looks
I
horrified.
think it goes back to like English common law.
Like no thicker than
Yeah,
your
it might be like way back old countries. Anyways, that's a pretty
and
messed
it's
up
very
thing to say
possible
now.
here that it was in the same time period that they
Yes,
raised the roof.
raise the roof.
That might be why they started raising the roof.
Yeah. Subscribe to that YouTube page. If you're watching on YouTube right now, smash that subscribe button. I have a confession to make.
What?
I watch a lot of YouTube videos on the same channels over and over again to the point where they know I'm going to watch this video. So the second a video comes out, boom, it's at the top of my feed. I subscribe to maybe like 3 channels.
Yeah, same. I'm bad about it.
I'm bad about it. So if you're not subscribed to the Macrodosing channel, know that I'm not judging you. I don't blame you. I have some of the same tendencies to just be forgetful and lazy and not hit that button. But I'm turning over a new leaf. If you're watching right now, I'm going to start doing this to support other channels that I watch. Smash that subscribe button. Subscribe to the Macrodosing podcast.
Or just click it. You don't have to smash it. You're gonna fuck your screen up.
That's a good point. Yeah. Just gently nuzzle, cuddle up against the subscribe button.
Give it a little butterfly kiss.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into the episode, the real episode.
Real quick.
even though I feel
Hold
like there
on.
was a mini episode inside that ad read.
Hold up, real quick. So today's the 27th when we're recording this. It's gonna come out the 28th. But today, the 27th, is Google's birthday. It was the day that Google was founded. I just feel like it was important to mention. You know what I'm saying? A big part of our lives. It's an amazing search engine that has changed humanity for better and for worse.
Are you cutting side ad deals?
No, dog. I mean, Google's a big part of who we are as humanity. It's huge.
Google
Biggest
doesn't get
search-
enough shout outs. I will say that.
Yeah.
Biggest search engine in the world. I'm just saying. I
Bro.
don't get no money from that shit. Trust me. If I
Google's
did, I would-
obsolete.
Oh,
Have you seen?
obsolete?
Yeah,
Google is
Google's definitely
obsolete.
not obsolete.
Obsolete.
No, it
That's
is.
a big
If,
word.
have you seen? But Google has reinvented itself and saved itself by. Have you guys seen Bard, the new AI bot?
I have not seen
that they
Bard.
made?
I've heard about Bard. I haven't personally witnessed it.
Bard is the best I've seen, in that it will go into websites, find information. It is good. It is very good.
What do you use it for?
Like for example, if you're looking for the specifications on something that you'd have to find in like tech manuals that are only in PDFs that are deep within a website, it will go find that.
So
It is like the ultimate retriever.
So yeah. So when it comes to, it's like Ask Jeeves. You remember that? It's everything that Ask
Yeah.
Jeeves thought that it would
Or
be.
that
Wait,
little
Google-
paperclip.
Yeah.
Am I fucking up? Or Google owns Bard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It reinvented himself.
So what Ask Jeeves used to be, or what it presented itself at, because it was like Ask Jeeves and Google that were both kind of coming up at the same time in the early 2000s, maybe late 1990s, and they were having this like competition of web search to see who was going to like come out on top of that. Ask Jeeves presented itself as being like, you ask a question and then it gives you the answer. It was just a normal search engine that would give you a list of links. Is Google, through this Bard AI program, are they actually now going to make the rest of the internet like obsolete? Because, all right, this is maybe this is galaxy brain moment on my part, but what Google does is it retrieves a list of websites and directs you to the pertinent website to answer whatever question you're asking, right? With an AI program, it then just bypasses you clicking on those links, finds the information on the internet, and then presents it to you as if it's their own answer to it, right? It crawls the web.
So right now it's kind of like the bibliography of the internet, and now the new thing will actually bring you to the source material.
It'll bring you to the source material, to the answer, but will that also disincentivize people from coming up with new websites containing that type of information on their own? And then the AI bot will have less and less information to retrieve going forward. Like internet information will get stagnant because people don't want to write their own websites because it's just going to get stolen by the AI bot. So the AI bot will not have a surplus of new information at the same rate that it's had in the past to go out and retrieve.
So if something new comes out, no one will bother to put out the information because no one's going to view it.
Or not no
Like,
one.
How do you?
But like
how do you deter
fewer.
that though?
How do you what?
How do you deter a search engine from visiting you, reaching you?
No, it's not that you would deter it, but like for example, if you were to ask a question, what's the best way to make sunny side up eggs? How long do I boil an egg? If you were to look that up, there's a shitload of websites that have instructions, step-by-step instructions on how to boil an egg, like what the right timing would be for it. So right now, Google's AI bot will retrieve that information and then answer your question in text form, being like, the best way to boil an egg is by putting it into a pot of boiling water for 4 minutes or whatever the case may be. And going forward, are people going to be less likely to just start up their own websites answering those types of questions? And then therefore the AI bot will have less information for it to sift through. Does that make sense?
I think that
It's
it's
like a digital protest.
Yeah, digital. Well, like an incentivized protest where it's like it's not really worth my while writing a website if people are
It's
just going to
canceling AI.
steal my answer. Yeah,
I,
Well,
I
it's
don't
kind of
think so.
like
I think it's if
think
you're
there's
looking for information, I think it could really affect. But I think if you're just looking for entertainment, not so much.
yeah.
Like you have
You
to be
know-
looking for a very specific thing.
it's like, for example, I got my exact air fryer model and I got the exact weight of raw chicken I had. And then I asked for a recipe that would perfectly cook that chicken so that I don't mess around with raw chicken, germs and stuff.
Mhm.
So you really want to make sure it gets cooked. So I like typed that in and it gave me a great answer. And I have great meal prep chicken for all week and it's not dry.
Well, they have blasted past that. You're gonna have your dick blown off for what they just announced, like either today or yesterday, that you could. They're rolling it out now, where you could take your phone out if you have ChatGPT on your phone, take a picture inside your refrigerator of what you have, and it will formulate recipes step by step based on the things that are currently in your refrigerator.
I love that.
That's
pretty
insane,
dope.
right? And they're
That's
doing
pretty
that,
dope.
and they have passed the first round of therapy that you could do therapy with your AI that will pick from the best and most reputable sources for therapy. And then you'll have your conversation with it, and it'll go through and find the perfect medically recommended therapy session for you and come up with a plan on how to help you with coping skills.
Like,
That's
whoever thought of
wild.
that needs to be shot. That's
I did it today. I wrote a blog about it today, and I said I gave it a very specific scenario, and it spit back the advice, and the advice was so good. Like I went into the blog thinking that I was going to shit on everything that was in the blog. I'm trying to pull it up now to give you the very specific example
Well-
that I gave it, and it's wild how good it was. It gave me like a 10-part answer whenever I asked it. Nuts.
People are going to be more honest
Okay.
because they're basically, how like internet commenters will say whatever because they're behind anonymous accounts, PFT.
Mm-hmm.
You could seek out therapy through the anonymity and not expect any like social recourse. Like the person you're talking to is disappointed in you. So people be more honest and find more solutions.
People are also going to troll this thing.
So listen, this is what I
But they can
wrote.
also find
question.
solutions.
There's
This
also like what if niggas they're like, okay, so let's say I committed a murder and I feel guilty about it. Is the AI then responsible to flag that and alert
A
authorities?
therapist would be too, because it was harm
That's
to
what I'm saying.
another.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe so. But this is you want to hear the example I gave it?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
said, this is all, I typed everything word for word into GBT this way. Earlier this week,
This is Chat GPT.
yeah.
Okay.
Earlier this week, I came to the realization that I am struggling with adult content addiction. Every day I wake
Yeah.
up, it's the only thing I think of. If I see a pumpkin that looks like an anus, I get aroused. If I see an oyster that looks a little too sloppy, I want to make romantic gestures to it. If I see a tree with its limbs, which are the legs of the tree, spread wide open, well, I get all hot and bothered. Is that normal or am I a deviant? That's what I wrote in there. Here's its response. Firstly, it's important to understand that sexual interest and desires can vary greatly among individuals, and what arouses one person may not necessarily be the same for the other. However, if you find your sexual thoughts or interests are causing you distress, interfering with your daily life, or leading to behaviors that are problematic, it may be a sign of a larger issue. If you're concerned about your sexual thoughts and their impact on your life, it's advisable to seek help. These are some of the ways that you can seek help. And it just goes in and it gives you in mind. Like, it makes you keep in mind that people who struggle with various types of addictions, including those related to adult content, if you believe you have an addiction, seek out more help. Ultimately, whether your thoughts are considered normal or not may vary from person to person and depend on cultural and societal norms. Like, you read that stuff and it's like, I do feel a little bit about myself. I'm not that big of a deviant.
Yeah, that's good. But what
More
about
people are gonna get help.
what about Arian's example though? Like if you confess to a murder and you're like, hey, I'm having all these racing thoughts because I murdered somebody and I feel bad about it, and I'm also afraid I'm going to get caught. Do you think that the AI therapist would give you instructions on how to feel better about having just committed a murder, like to help you?
See what it
Maybe.
does,
I
Billy.
think
Type it in.
eventually, because they'll be more sentient, right?
Yeah, it's okay. A lot of people murder. If you look at the course of human history, millions of
Our
people
Lord
are
and
murdered each
Savior
year.
actually has murdered billions.
Well, no, but at the same time, there's already that information out. Whereas, like, you could Google, like, I feel bad about something I did in my past. And it's like, people aren't defined by their actions. You know, you can be a good person who did a bad thing. Like, that stuff's already out there. So if it's giving you that, spoon feeding you that information when you confess to doing something bad, like a murder, is that because it can't be applied to
Do
that.
you want me to ask it right now?
Yeah, but
I
and
do.
then afterwards be like, I'm just joking.
Okay. I'll ask it.
I mean,
Would you tell on me if I confessed on murder?
That seems like a bad idea.
we're on a podcast though. You know, like
Yeah.
here's your evidence. We workshop
Would-
this. This is an experiment. This is a scientific experiment on AI.
We can
confess-
go like I've Googled some crazy stuff on this podcast that thank God there's context.
Yes,
Is
you,
there?
you have Googled stuff. What's the weirdest thing you've ever Googled, Billy?
How to hide a body.
Yeah, no, during the episode on that guy from Situate who killed his wife.
Here we go. I said, if I
I did
confess
do
to a crime, does your system report me? It says, no, I don't have the capability to report to anyone for crimes or actions. Additionally, our interactions are not monitored or reported to any external authorities.
Sounds like a
That's
okay,
narc.
pal.
Yeah, sounds like a narc.
The
Yeah.
NSA,
Hey kids, where are the drugs?
that building downtown in New York.
I
with
think
no
legally it has
windows.
to say I'm not a cop.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, not a cop,
Are you? I'll ask it that. Are you a cop? Because now it has to tell me the truth.
or it's entrapment. Yeah.
No, it's not a police officer or a federal agent.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm
Wait,
just a computer.
Now say, would you
It
have
says I'm just a computer.
would you have to tell me if you were a federal agent or police officer?
Okay. Would you have to tell?
Now we flipped the interrogation on him or her.
Yeah.
It's probably her. She knows.
Or
she
they.
knows all the
Don't assume
answers.
their pronouns.
It's an it, guys. Let's remember that. It's an it.
It
You
said,
don't know that.
I am not a law enforcement officer and I don't possess the ability to withhold or provide information based on my ability. I am, once again, a computer program.
Okay.
Ask
Yeah,
it.
we said once
ask
again
it if
it's
it's
getting
the
mad
NSA.
at you. Like, yo, stop asking me this shit, B.
Asked and answered.
Ask
Move
it if it's
on.
the NSA.
Are you?
Well, it's gonna say it's a computer. Say, do you have any governmental agencies that monitor you?
Okay.
See, this is all in the presumption that it has to tell us the truth.
That's true.
Cops, they can lie to you.
They can, and they
I've
do.
watched enough interrogation videos.
If they were, this is a very suspicious thread of questions that I'm asking it.
Yeah.
And it said,
So-
no, I'm not related to any government agencies that monitor me. I am a standalone artificial intelligence developed by OpenAI. So now it's telling me very specifically, you dumb
Standalone.
motherfucker, I've explained it several times.
Mad Dog, can we reach out to either a detective or an interrogation expert? Because I would love to do an episode on interrogations and the different techniques that they use, the read technique specifically.
The read technique. Yeah, that's the one they always use.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the
Yeah,
security
I like it.
guards here would know, right? They would know one.
Yeah.
That's a good point. We should have Mike on.
Security guards
Yeah.
know the read
What about the
technique?
guy? What about the guy who interrogated Mincy?
Yeah, we should have Mike on. But
Yeah, Mike.
So you guys know what the read technique is?
Mm-mm.
It's like a very specific protocol that cops are taught like across the world, mostly like US, Canada, they use it a lot, but it's everywhere. And basically they try to get you to confess to a crime by getting you to confess to a smaller crime. So let's say that you are under arrest for killing your best friend, right? You can be like, the cop will say, listen, I don't think you're a bad guy. There's two types of people that find themselves in this position. There's like stone cold psychopaths that are just evil and they'll do it again. They have no remorse for it. And then there are people that found themselves in a bad situation and they did something that they wish that they hadn't done, but in the moment they were trying to protect themselves. And I'm not saying you're a murderer, but what I'm saying is you were trying to protect yourself from this person and they were going to hurt you. And if I were in that position, I would do the exact same thing. That's the kind of guy that I think you are. Obviously, this plays out over the course of like
Hours,
20, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. But that's the general premise. And then eventually the suspect will be like, I was defending myself. It was not murder. I wasn't trying to hurt him. I was trying to get him away from me. And then since you confessed to that already, they know that you're the one that's responsible for the death. And then they can take all the other evidence they have and charge you with murder because you've already said that you're the person that did the act.
Did you watch Blackbird?
Whoa.
Did I watch Blackbird? I have not watched Blackbird yet. No.
That's like kind of what they do in Blackbird.
I need to watch Blackbird. I've heard
It's
great things about it.
Incredible show.
What's Blackbird?
Is it
What's
a
that?
show?
It's a show on
It's
Apple
like a limited series.
TV. It's like 5 or 6 episodes. Great show.
Oh, it's fucking nuts. I
Give
just
me-
finished
Yo,
it.
when Big T goes grrr and he like emphasizes that shit is fire.
It's
I don't know
it
if
is
y'all
fire.
noticed that
It's
shit.
so it's a guy who went to prison for I believe 10 years for like being a drug dealer, and he's in like a minimum security prison. But there's a murderer in this maximum security prison that's like mentally like off a little bit, and they can't quite pin everything they need on him. And so
And he's up for appeal.
yeah, so the FBI is like, if you go to this maximum security prison and get this guy to confess to these murders, we'll commute your sentence.
Okay.
Oh,
And it's great show.
Yeah, I'm in.
Oh,
It's a real story too.
yeah.
I'm in.
I want
100%.
the real life guy on. It's insane.
The moral of the interrogation story is if a police officer is asking you questions because they don't know the answer to it.
Yeah.
And
And
so-
always just refuse to answer and say, take me back to holding.
Yeah. Or lawyer. Just
Right.
say the
Yeah,
word
just-
lawyer.
you don't have to answer any question in front of a police officer without a lawyer present.
Yep.
The
And-
amount of people who do like sit down and do not just talk to the cop like when you're being arrested, like will go do an interrogation without a lawyer is insane.
It is nuts. They want to like
It's
prove
crazy.
themselves. They think they can talk.
Well, they don't
themselves
know
out of it.
better.
Well, there's two reasons that I think they do it, Billy. One is because they think they can talk themselves out of it, and two, because if they are guilty, they want to know what the police know about the crime, and so the only way for them to know what information the cops have in their minds is to sit down and talk to the police about it, and then the cops obviously won't tell you anything about what they know. They're just going to dangle that, like, okay, you share something with me, I'll share something with you. And then they just get the information out of you, and then boom, you're done.
Dunzo.
Yeah. The thing is, I'd be innocent for something, but not want them to think I'm guilty. So I would just talk to them and end up getting guilty.
Yeah, they rely on that. Does happen sometimes. And also false confessions happen, which I never thought in a million years like that's an actual thing that could happen. Like if you didn't do something, why would anybody ever confess to a crime that they didn't do? It happens a lot though, because
That's in Blackbird.
they isolate you, they deprive you of food, water, they deprive you of sleep, and then they fuck with your head for a long time, and next thing you know, you signed a piece of paper because you think you're going to get out of there, and then you're
Saw that a lot in combat, honestly. Like taking people back and asking them questions. Eventually, you would find out they had nothing to do with it, but they thought that if you told them something, that they would get to go home.
yeah. It's crazy what
So happened to
amount of
Central
pressure
Park
can
Five.
play. Yeah. Yeah. All right, but yeah, I want to do a interrogation episode.
I just asked.
I think that would be cool.
That would be dope.
Big T, you teed off about anything?
No, I don't think so. Still hung up on the mouth guard thing.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, I think we're all good.
The toilet situation. People are asking about the toilet situation. Because
Are they? I
you-
think it's just you. I think you're the only person that's still like obsessed with that.
You were on Barstool Sports Advisors, and then Barstool Sports Advisors
You were on Barstool Sports.
was on
Advisors.
Macrodose. It was a crossover, 30 seconds, and Jerry offered to help you out with your toilet.
I respectfully decline.
I think he could help you out.
I don't really think there's anything he could do, but even if there was, respectfully decline.
You don't want Jerry touching your toilet?
Nobody's coming to my home. No.
Okay, that's fair. I suppose that's
Is
fair.
it? Why are you so against it?
That's my space. Nobody that works here is coming to my house.
I'm gonna go over now. We're gonna have dinner, bro. What the fuck?
I'll be there next week.
Yeah, can Billy come over?
Absolutely not.
Can Arian come over?
Yeah.
What?
Why can't we come over?
Arian,
That's fucked up.
I'd show Arian around.
I like that. Okay. All right. As long as I'm the exception. Man, that makes me feel special, Big T.
We'll go to Gus's and then I'll show you the place.
Yeah, then we'll play some PlayStation and shit. You know what I mean?
I got it set up.
Let's do it. Night with the fellas.
Arian, you ate off about anything?
Shit's crazy, though. Catches me off guard every time, man. No, I'm chilling, man. I kind of been out the loop again because I don't have Twitter. I got a new phone. I'm hype about though. I had a 12 and now I got the 15. And it's like, you know what I mean? So
Do you have any?
I didn't know how much.
Yeah.
Huh?
No, go ahead.
I just didn't know how bad I needed a new phone because I had a 12 and it got to the point where I couldn't. I was telling y'all this before, but I couldn't press P on my keyboard. Like it just wouldn't respond. And so like anytime I would type like a P or like say I would like hit PFT in the chat, I would say PFT. I'd have to like autocorrect the word that had a P in it, press that, delete it, then continue with my word. I was like, yo, this is getting out of hand. Like, and it was like that for some months. So
I was
I'm
shocked.
glad
I was shocked when you said that you would type in OET, knowing
Yeah.
that it would autocorrect to pet, and then you
Yeah.
would delete the T and the E, and then write FT after the P.
Yeah.
That takes dedication. Every time now, I feel special that every time you would type PFT, it took like 15 seconds of work to do that.
It absolutely was. It was like, and that's when I was like, yo, this is getting out of hand. And then I don't want to buy a old 14 when it was coming out with the 15s in like a month. So I was like, I just got to thug it out. So I was thugging it out for a good little month or so, man. So I'm hype about the new phone, and it's fire too. Like the camera has gotten way better since the 12. They have the cinematic thing that I didn't know people was walking around with. That's probably an old feature, but it wasn't on my 12. So yeah, man. Happy with the new phone. Screen's bigger. I got the big dog now, the Max.
I love how
Amazing.
amped you are about the new iPhone.
Yeah.
It's-
I'm saying like it was
This
bad. It was
guy's shilling
cracked.
for Google and Apple today.
Let's do it.
I never
Big tech,
thought I'd
baby.
see an NFL player with NFL contracts being like, dude, I had like a 5-year-old phone and I had to upgrade.
Oh,
Finally pulled the trigger.
so my shit was chipped. The side was chipped. The screen was cracked. The keypad wasn't working. I was in struggle mode, but like I'm kind of a minimalist when it comes to shit like that. So I'm happy I'm back in business, bro. This shit is amazing. You just don't realize how bad it is until like you know what it's capable of being. So shout out to Steve Jobs. Rest in peace.
Shout out Steve Jobs. Great phone.
Yeah.
Great phone. What about you,
Yeah.
Billy? You beat off?
Yeah, I'm beat off. Not exactly, but the Jets quarterback position isn't looking good. They just signed Trevor Siemian. Unless Zach Wilson has an absolute huge breakout game against the Chiefs and they're going to win, that'd be the best possibility. But what I'm really beat off about is everyone's talking about the Philly, tush push play, right?
Mhm.
And we saw that Stephen Shea recently, Jalen Hurts commented on his comment.
Stephen Shea wanted Jalen
understand.
Hurts dead. He wanted him to die.
Yeah.
Wait,
I don't-
put me up. I'm out the loop. What happened?
All right, so you know the tush push play that the Eagles run, where they do a quarterback sneak and then they've got two tight ends behind Jalen Hurts, and then Jalen
okay.
gets the ball, he runs it, and then they grab him, and then push him. Usually it's just a normal quarterback sneak, but sometimes the tight ends start to push too, and it's impossible to stop.
It's been successful 31 out of 33 times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very effective play, mostly because they've got a great offensive line and because Jalen Hurts is very, very strong, and so
Right.
they run it to perfection. They can get 1 yard, yard and a half, 2 yards if they have to, almost every time. And what the like hidden numbers in this, it's like not just that they're great at converting on 3rd and goal, 4th and goal, 4th and 1. It's also that when it's like 3rd down and it's 3rd and 6, they can run a play designed to get them 4 yards or
Right.
5 yards. They don't have to take like an 8-yard shot at it. So it makes their entire offense that much better.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But so
question-
Jalen Hurts ran it against the Bucks, and then we have a guy in the office here, Stephen Shea, who is a very what's the best way to describe Stephen Shea?
A robot.
Totally disconnected from the game of football from a physical standpoint.
That's
Okay.
actually perfect. That's perfect. He's the prototypical like film guy. He watches every game. He's a football obsessive, but I don't think he's really played football. And
Yeah, never. He what was his thing? He was saying he could complete a pass in 30 snaps
yeah,
at quarterback.
he's also a little bit delusional. And he usually means well, but the Eagles were playing against his Bucks on Monday night, and they kept running the play. The Bucks couldn't stop it, and Stephen Shea just in a moment of exasperation said it's reached the point where I just want them to hurt Jalen Hurts. Like he wants them to injure Jalen Hurts.
I'm gonna start being on the let's hurt Jalen Hurts trains.
Oh my!
Wow.
Oh, scumbag!
Just for what? Just because it's just annoying to watch as a fan. Like this game, they're gonna win this.
It's the rule.
They're gonna win this game. Like I get it, but
You like football too much to wish bad
No,
on a player.
go through it. Go through the whole process.
I mean, it just needs to be stopped. And if we got to take out one guy for the greater good.
Then everybody in the room was like, "What the fuck, man? Like you don't say that. You don't wish an injury on somebody." And then the video went viral, and it got back to Jalen Hurts, who addressed it in his press conference today, saying like, "I saw that people, they can't stop it. They can't run it themselves." And one dude even said that he wanted me to get hurt. So, yes,
It's pretty cool.
yeah, it is, and not a good look for Stephen Shea.
No,
to be known for this because he is like a football diehard. And I don't think that this is what he wants to be known nationally as, the guy that wanted Jalen Hurts injured. But he did say it. He said it. So he's got to.
Oh, and Philly fans is crazy too.
All you have to do is find another quarterback that can squat 600 pounds.
No,
Easy.
so that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Why don't they have a designate? So there's a lot of skill players in the league who are like juice heads like that, where they can squat 600 pounds. They don't have the quarterback skills.
I mean, they can do it without the juice. I mean,
No, I mean, I'm not saying with juice. I'm saying they're just jack dudes who can
juice
have that
strong.
Yeah,
I've
600 pound squatters.
I just never
I mean,
heard of it.
I'm not using juice as in the PED way, just like a juiced up dude who can get it going.
I-
Change your
never heard of
personnel
myself.
probably a big part of it, right? Like if
Yeah,
they
yeah,
bring
but-
in somebody else to do that, then you have to let them get their personnel on the field too.
Yeah, that's probably true. And then you know that you don't even really need a defensive back out there.
Right.
Yeah, like you go with third down for the Eagles, you know that they're probably going to have two tight ends out there because
Yeah.
they're going to do it
No.
if they need to.
But what I'm saying is on that 1 yard push, do the Eagles really play that much play action out of that formation when you have two tight ends behind the quarterback that could very easily
No, it's very clearly
over
a
each other?
sneak formation. It's not
right? So
anything else.
then it doesn't have to be a personnel issue.
Yeah, so you can
Well,
take your quarterback and then have your quarterback split out wide. And kind of how they used to do in Wildcat,
Mhm.
where Jay Cutler would go stand as a wide receiver and then not even pretend to run a route. He would just kind of hang out there for a while. They could do that if you had somebody that was in a normal personnel grouping that was, like Billy said, capable of doing quarterback sneak.
Are y'all arguing that this is illegal and it should be?
No, I'm
What do you
saying
argue?
Stephen Shea, and there are a bunch of people who want it to be banned.
And it's banned in high
Like-
school. It's called assisting the runner.
I know, but
Because
DeAndre
does it
Swift
go
is
the same way with running backs. You know what I'm saying? Because one of the funnier things as running backs I always thought was hilarious was when you get stood up and then the cavalry comes and your lineman push you that extra yards and you hear the commenters are like, "Oh no, he pushed it. He still won't go down 7 extra yards, but it's the lineman pushing you."
Mm-hmm.
Are they talking about banning that as well?
No, I
No,
think
no,
it's
I think
this
it's legal,
one
but, like,
what's the
particular
difference there?
thing.
Why doesn't another team, if they don't have Jalen Hurts, right? They don't have a quarterback that squats 600 pounds. Why don't they get another position player to just take a couple reps under center and be the guy who pushes with two tight ends behind him?
What?
Like,
What? It's a quarterback sneak. What's the issue?
I know, but you don't need a quarterback if everyone knows it's going to be a run.
What?
You know?
So what Billy's
No.
saying,
No.
what Billy's saying, Arian,
Why don't they put for example, why don't they put
Why when the
Uh,
quarterback can do it? I don't understand.
no, but for example, why aren't the
Billy's
Titans
saying
doing
a
it with Derrick
different
Henry?
team,
So he's-
not the Eagles.
yes.
Like say with Tua now because he's smaller, or Kyle Murray. He's not going to do that.
Right. No, but you don't even have to get those guys. Get another guy on that team that can, who can get a push like that, who's a big guy who can, move the pile and just have him do it.
Yeah, that's what Big T and Chaps just said. For a team like the Cardinals, if you have Kyler Murray playing quarterback, you don't want
Kyler Murray can't get
Billy-
that push.
Billy, you're not listening.
Then you move Kyler Murray out to wide receiver, and you have Connor take the snap and then run the quarterback sneak as the quarterback. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
We're agreeing with you. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Arian, so it's on the Texans, if Matt Schaub was your quarterback, and you didn't think that he could get 1 yard, 2 yards. Would you be able to line up under center, take a snap, and run a quarterback sneak?
Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't teams do that then?
So I think it seems so routine to take a snap that it feels easy and it should be easy, but there's quarterbacks do that shit. They practice snaps before every practice, right? Shotgun and under the center. It's if you don't do it on a day-to-day basis, and there's just a coaches love to play probabilities. And so if there's a high chance that it's a fumble, they will not run the play because turnovers kill you. And so if I'm taking a guess as to why they don't do it, it's because it's just not normal taking a snap under center. Which is why Wildcat, like when Wildcat was popular in the league, we would have periods. Like I ran a few plays with Wildcat. We would have periods where I would take snaps from the center. I would take a bunch of snaps from the center just to get used to that feel. And if you don't have those reps, the coaches don't feel comfortable enough calling it.
Mm-hmm. You had a nice touchdown pass, I remember.
I did.
Yeah, you've got a decent arm.
No, the arm's cracking, actually. Actually, the arm is really good. We used to have sessions before practice because this is when I wasn't playing special teams anymore. And like they just let you do whatever you want while special teams going on. So I used to go with the quarterbacks. They used to have these like little they used to play games, like throw the fade routes and shit in the trash cans. I used to whoop their ass. I promise you, bro. I used to get mad at me. I used to talk shit too.
Yeah, I think Billy beat you in the crossbar game, right?
Cap.
No.
Bill Belichick.
That's a game that you play.
I have an arm, Billy. Let it go. I was in a Pro Bowl and we had throwing competitions the same, and Bill Belichick was like, "You could throw." I was like, "Yeah, no." And so much so as we ran that in the Pro Bowl where we had a halfback sweep pass, but fucking Julius Peppers, this nigga is a monster. He just ruined it. But like Bill Belichick put it in because he saw me throw.
That's cool. You and Bill have a good relationship?
He was always cool. Any coach that I ran it because I was like nice, they just had the utmost respect. Like they was really good. Like Pete Carroll, Don with Riviere, what's his name?
Ron
Rivera.
Ron Rivera, right? Yeah, he showed just so much love. They show so much love because like they have to break down film and like they could recognize your talent. And I think when it's just they respect the game, and so they always had so much love. Like Bill was always cool. Even Robert Kraft, he came to me after the game one time.
Arian, tampering.
Arian, do you think in today's game, from a high school level, if you were a quarterback, like you'd be able to make it as a quarterback and maybe even your skill set?
I could have made it back then. I promise I could have made it back then. I just didn't want to I had my mindset. Like I could have changed in high school as well. I had an arm. It's just I was a running back since I was a kid. So I'm also overly confident too. So I don't know. I feel like I can do whatever the fuck I wanted to do, honestly. That's how I feel.
Kicker?
Maybe. I never really tried, honestly. I did the straight ahead stance. You know, you kick it with your toe.
Yeah.
I used to kick in Little League. I used to kick the extra points. I was nice at it, but I didn't know how they kicked it from the side because I didn't hang around nobody to play soccer. I didn't know nobody to play soccer. So I didn't know how to what do you kick it with the arch? How do you even do it?
Yeah, you kick it with kind of on the arch of the foot down a little bit closer to the ball, like right above the ball of your toe.
Above the ball of the toe.
Yeah, like in between the arch, probably closer to the arch actually. Now that I'm
okay, so in between the arch and the ball.
Yeah, that's where you strike and you sweep from the side. Spot.
Yeah, I've never even attempted to kick the ball like that.
You can just get so much more accuracy that way. You can kick the ball really far if you hit it with your toe. If you hit it good, that thing will
Didn't
go.
the dude who held the kicking record for the longest, it was like 63 yards. He had like a half a foot or some shit and he kicked it straight on?
Yeah, Dempsey. Dempsey was the guy. He had half a foot, and so he had a special shoe that was like flat where the toes are because he didn't have toes, I think.
I wonder why other kickers don't do that.
Cut their foot off?
Well, you could just make a shoe.
Just put the shoe with the edge on it.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a regulation against that or not.
Like a flat
steel-toed boot?
Like a flat-toed clog.
Yeah, they might have outlawed that shoe. Because you're right, that makes a lot of sense. But you can probably be more accurate kicking soccer style than with the flat toe. But if you're trying to boot like a 65-yarder, yeah, use the clog. Go for it.
So you're a kicker. Answer me this. There was a dude who used to pump for the Raiders. His name was Marquez King, I think.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, I don't know enough about kicking, but like, I watched a couple of his videos that came across my timeline. And like, he's nice. Like, why didn't he stay in the league? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Gruden.
I don't know. Yeah, him and Gruden didn't like each other very much. Coaches, Arian, coaches probably don't like a punter that makes, hype videos and does dances and shit. Like, coaches hate punters in general, and he was like the flashiest punter out there.
Made some good tackles though.
Yeah, he was a great player, and he was like pretty quick too.
Mm-hmm.
We had him on Part of My Take one time, and he's a hilarious dude. Good interview, and just like a ball of energy.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't go into broadcasting because he was great on a mic.
Yeah,
He's still playing for the Arlington Renegades.
damn.
Is that XFL?
Yeah,
Yeah.
free Marquette.
Shout
King.
out to Kev.
I think he was
Shout
in
out
the
to the
emails.
Renegades.
I think Gruden discussed Marquette King in some of his emails that I got.
Hold
leaked,
on,
and
there
it
was
very
Gruden
obvious.
files. What is this?
Yeah, there's.
Oh, you don't know
Gruden
about
leaks.
that?
You
I don't know about the
leaks?
Gruden leaks. What happened, bro? Put me
Oh,
on
Gruden
game.
said
Oh,
some.
well, we can't repeat what happened.
He
but
said some bad stuff.
What did he say?
Well,
I mean, I probably
you can
like
Google
no,
it.
but what did he say?
you can Google it. He was talking about DeMaurice Smith, the head of the NFLPA.
Mm-hmm.
He made some comments about the size of his lips.
Oh,
In-
he's
in
racist.
emails?
That's what's up.
Yeah, it was racist.
And
Yeah, I figure. I mean, I just most of the motherfuckers is dog, and I know people don't like to hear that shit, but like the old white dudes, I just figure they are. It's just that's the world they grew up in. Like it is what it is.
he called Roger Goodell an anti-football pussy.
That's
and-
funny.
And said, yeah, that is kind of funny. He said that he was ruining the NFL.
Probably the only thing most people agreed with.
Yeah,
I was there. Okay, checks out.
and the NFL didn't take swift action against him until the Goodell email came out. The other stuff happened. And there people were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that Gruden said this racist shit in an email." And then like a day later, the Goodell email came out, and then Adam Schefter went on ESPN. He was like, and he made a clean sweep of slurs against black people, women, and NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell.
What did he say about women?
I think it was probably some of the, well, no, I think it was against maybe gay people. I think he dropped a couple F-bombs in there. I might be wrong, but maybe the misogynist thing was calling Goodell a pussy.
How's that massage?
It's implying that a pussy isn't strong, which in fact, like, the pussy is the strongest thing ever.
Well, I think he was using
No,
the
it's not.
short slang word for pusillanimous,
Okay, there we go.
which is how I use it.
You don't think a pussy's strong, Arian? It gives birth.
No. You said it's a strong thing ever.
It
like,
gives birth.
but we don't have nothing else can give birth. We don't have anything to
Yeah.
juxtapose it against.
Yeah, it's the only thing that's strong enough to give birth.
I don't know, man. The strongest muscle in the body is the glute.
You're more of an ass guy than a pussy
More
guy.
of an ass guy.
He's an ass man.
No, I don't know.
I'm just
I don't
saying,
know.
calling somebody pussy, maybe we rebrand that. Maybe
It
it's-
really is because the
No, yeah, we
testicles are
rebranded-
the sensitive thing.
No,
Yeah, that's true.
pusillanimous.
Because even
Yeah, it
like
didn't
your
catch on,
dick,
brother.
like your actual penis, not sensitive. You could lay it on the street and have somebody run over. You wouldn't even know.
Yeah,
But your balls get flicked and you're done for like the day,
yeah, balls are pussies.
right?
I mean, I
bad
don't
way.
notice if somebody run over my dick, bro.
Think about it. You can pinch it
I've
as hard
thought
as you
about
want
that.
to, and it doesn't hurt.
What?
Like if you take your penis head and you squeeze it as hard as you want to, like you're gonna pop an unopened Go-Gurt. Like nothing happens.
We have different penises, dog. That's it. I feel
Wait, I mean,
What?
I have read a lot of stuff about being circumcised takes away a lot of the penis, like your dickhead, like
Oh,
feeling.
you're uncircumcised.
Well, I mean, no, I'm circumcised, but I got it done by a Navy doctor, so maybe it was all fucked up.
I don't know. I feel my
Oh, you're lucky.
my
then.
part. Y'all, am I bugging? Are y'all?
I
You
think
don't-
he's taking it too far, but I think on the scale, I would lean more towards what Chap said.
Yeah, I agree. I'd rather get kicked in my penis than kicked in my balls.
Mhm.
Well, that's-
Sometimes
well,
the
that's
penis saves the
undeniable.
day.
there's skin. Like your penis is skin, and there's nerve endings in it. But the balls have obviously more nerve endings.
Yeah.
In it. Yes, they hurt more, but I feel like stuff.
Sometimes
I mean, it's
the
literally-
tree trunk protects the coconuts.
You can run. Chaps did say you can run your penis over the car.
That would probably hurt. That'd probably hurt.
You know what I'm saying? What?
You can bring back John Gruden. He could do the axe thing with your dick, and it wouldn't make a difference.
I'm trying to think like what position your body would have to be in to get your penis only run over by a car.
Sideways.
That'd be tough.
Yeah, lay down
Sideways.
sideways. Let it slap on the ground.
Yeah. Have to be a very accurate stunt driver.
Some may not be able to slap on the ground.
I was going to say that was privileged of you to say.
I mean, I have no complaints.
Anyways, yeah, John Gruden said some racist shit.
I Googled the emails. Obviously, not going to repeat what he said about DeMaurice Smith. It's abhorrent. Did you read what he called him though?
No.
DeMaurice Smith.
Okay.
DUMB. That's good stuff. That's a Trump line.
Yeah, it is.
And so the ultimate,
who's he emailing though? Who's he emailing?
Good question. Great question, Arian. I believe these were email exchanges with Bruce Allen, the president of the Washington Redskins at the time.
Yeah, that's how they found him, was they were investigating the Washington football team.
Yeah, they were investigating Dan Snyder and his team, and they came up with these emails, and these ones selectively got leaked against John Gruden. And then people were wondering, like, hey, how did these email messages in particular get leaked and none of the other 16,000 that they went through? And it was because allegedly Snyder and the football team, they have an axe to grind against the entire Gruden family. Jay Gruden used to be the head coach of the football team. They don't like him. They ended up parting ways acrimoniously, which I guess that's usually what happens in football. But Dan Snyder carries a grudge and figured he'd get back at the Gruden family because he also heard that John Gruden had been talking shit about him by releasing these emails to the Washington Post. Or was it the Post or the Times that had it first?
I think it's the
I'm
Post.
looking at the New York Times.
The New York Times.
I don't know.
Okay, well, yeah. So this is alleged. I don't know if it's true and that's how it actually went down, but the fact is that somebody involved in the Washington football team investigation released these emails selectively against Gruden, got him fired.
So there's a whole bunch more that never got released.
650,000, according to what I'm seeing.
That's a lot of emailing, dog.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Hillary.
Marquette King wasn't in the emails. I looked it up, but he thinks he was cut without a meeting with Gruden, and he thinks that Gruden was the reason why he was cut.
I mean, he was the head coach, so yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah.
And with a punter, if like coaches don't like punters to begin with, Gruden definitely doesn't like punters and kickers. And then to have a special teams player that likes to run their mouth and gets flashy and makes everything about them, in his mind at least, that's like a double whammy. He's like, okay, well,
Same reason why Tebow didn't stick around anymore.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
You bought into the propaganda though, PFT.
What?
Likes to run his mouth.
No, I'm saying from Gruden's perspective, that's what he said.
Okay.
I disagree. I think Marquette King was fun. He was a pretty good punter.
He was the only reason why I watched Raiders highlights to see what he was going to do.
Yeah, he hit some
because he would
nukes.
kick and then he would do like almost like a little dance after. Do you remember?
Yeah.
When he would kind of like celebrate after he kicked a long punt, and he would like brush his. I remember one of them when he would brush his shoes off.
Yeah.
Like when that was a real popular thing, and I loved it. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, he was fun. Bring Marquette King back. I'm glad you brought his name up because like he is a name that he just disappeared.
The year. How many years are we from until the generation dies off that thinks showboating is bad for sports? Like what how far away from that?
Oh, we're already there.
You think no, there's still a lot of
there's still some 40-year-olds that are pretty.
That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm saying
golf is transforming and golf fans are having a rough go.
I'm saying the youth right now, that's the generation that's here.
Yeah, I think to answer your question, I think probably 10, 15 years we'll be done with it.
10, 15 years, those guys.
Like when my generation is in our late 50s, I don't think anybody will be against celebration.
Mm-hmm.
When pickleball goes out of style, that's when you'll know.
No, that's
everyone who likes it would have passed on.
That's getting a revamp. I'm seeing a lot of young folks doing that shit.
Oh, yeah.
It's a resurgence of pickleball.
I love
but it's only targeted towards the demographic that's actively shrinking.
What?
I don't know. I think it's a lot bigger and getting
there's
in different places.
There's 8 brand new pickleball courts right next to my apartment that is exclusively young people, and they're out there every night. It's
Yeah,
filled.
it's a research.
So-
it's researching. It's
There's a young,
All right.
there's a person that's around my age on my road that got a concussion from pickleball.
How do you do that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a
Tripped
bunch
over
of
his feet, like trying to go to the side, and tried to really stretch out. He said, and went and did like a shoulder roll into the fence on the other side, and he had to call his wife and take him to the
That's
hospital
embarrassing.
from pickleball.
Would you let
run.
your son play pickleball?
No,
I would not.
not with that damage.
My hypothetical son, like they used to ask Obama, like if you had a son, would you let him play football? I would not let my hypothetical or my son Chris play pickleball. It seems dangerous.
Yeah, CTE is a big thing.
Yeah.
The
I
pickleball
run by
community.
a pickleball court every morning at like 5:30 a.m. and there's just some old dude injured every morning getting carried away.
I love
that sounds like hyperbole.
No, literally.
Every day there's an old dude getting carried off the pickleball court.
At least once a week.
Run out of old dudes. I'm saying like
That's what I'm saying.
At
They're
least
running. They're
once a
going to run
month.
out. It's a population control trick. They just made it active so that all these people get hurt.
I like that Billy just doesn't like pickleball because it's a sport that Jake's good at, and any sport that Jake can be good at isn't. A real
No,
sport in his mind.
I started beefing with pickleball when I showed up to a basketball court that I played with, that I usually play at, and there was some dudes trying to set up pickleball, like whatever they are, like on the court, and I'm like, "Yo, dude, this isn't happening."
You should have just called
And they're like,
Nets.
"No, we set up. We got here first." And I was like, "No, dude, like." I was like, there's 10 dudes trying to play pickup right now, and you 4 are not taking the whole court.
I would love to have seen this interaction.
Me
too.
It ended with us being like, go to the racquetball court, like the wall ball court.
You guys
And-
bullied the old pickleball people.
Yeah, but the fact that they had the gall to think they could stake claim to the basketball court.
It's like gang
Jesus.
wars. I love it.
Yeah, with a 50-year age difference.
I want to get into a very important topic today before we jump into space. It's in the news. Commander Biden, Joe Biden's beloved dog, has bitten another Secret Service agent. Friend of the show, friend of the program, Commander Biden. He's a good dog. There's no such thing as a bad
I just
dog.
missed somebody. What do you mean it's a good dog?
There's no
What are
such
you
thing as a
talking-
bad dog. There's bad owners. I think that this reflects very poorly on Joe Biden.
Is this what does it?
It might be. It
Yeah.
might be, Big T.
This is a
Damn,
stain on his legacy.
I am voting
It
for
truly
Trump.
is.
Bad dog owner.
Yeah, well, Trump doesn't even have a dog.
That's how
a
much
red
he loves
flag,
them.
too.
Is it? Hold on. It's a red flag if you don't have a dog.
No, not really. But he always says that people like he'll say like he got fired like a dog or he died like a dog. He
He's
loves
Al Baghdadi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that.
how Baghdadi died like a dog.
3 separate times.
Yeah, like,
Crying.
Al Baghdadi died so many times.
yeah, he died like a dog. He was crying. He was crying like a dog, and he died. But he loves making dog references, but I don't think he has one or would ever have one. But Commander Biden this is the second dog that we've had problems with in the Biden family. There was Major Biden, which was the older German Shepherd. Major had to be sent to a home
He was
upstate somewhere.
rehomed.
He was rehomed. I haven't seen hide nor hair of Major Biden. I don't know if he's actually still alive.
We should pick at the White House. Where is Major Biden?
I want to see. I want to see
Yeah.
evidence. But this is the second dog. They got Commander Biden to like keep Major Biden young because the old dog was getting old. It was having some mental problems. It was biting people. And they're like, oh, you know what he needs is a friend, a little buddy. So they got a second German Shepherd. Well, there's a trend in the Biden dogs that you bite everybody and you like piss on journalists. You attack your Secret Service agents. And I think this is how many people has Commander Biden bit now? 11. This is
11
this
people?
is the 11th bite that Commander
The
Biden.
Biden bite count.
He was
It's
just-
like the Clinton kill count.
Yeah,
Domestic
It
terrorism.
says that he was just deemed a severe threat to the White House.
a severe threat to the White House.
Any other dog that's not the president's dog gets put down. 1,000%.
Yes, a million. Rules for
Oh,
thee
seriously?
and not for me, chaps. That's what this sounds
time.
like.
Big time.
And so this dog is a menace, and it's a severe threat to the White House.
In
general.
fairness to Commander, he's like the 6th most detrimental Biden in the White House. So
you got beef with Dr. Jill.
4th at best.
Dr. Jill seems like a nice lady.
I disagree.
Why? What's wrong? Be honest. Take your partisan hat off here, Big T. She's like an elementary school teacher. She looks after Joe, who's probably not able to function.
That's probably a difficult job.
Entirely
I
on
commend her
his
for that.
own. She seems like a nice person. The only knock you can say against Dr. Jill Biden is that she raised Hunter.
Well,
But Hunter's
But
That's
she did.
not true,
but she
right?
did raise Bo.
She did raise Bo.
which helps.
Good point.
wait, is Hunter her child?
No, they're not hers.
Oh, not hers.
No, because
Well, I mean, she
That's
was a
right,
part of
she-
their lives for a long time.
My
Yeah.
mistake.
I don't know how long they've been married.
I don't want
Either
to
way.
come off insensitive. His wife passed away tragically in an accident.
genetically they're not hers, but like
Yeah, in actuality,
very
they're
young
like
age.
that's right.
Okay,
there,
I
yeah.
don't know how long they've been married, but yeah, that's fine.
Say what you want about Joe, about Sleepy Joe, but Dr. Jill seems like a nice person.
Sure.
Seems like her heart's in a good place.
Mhm.
But she's a shitty dog owner. We can
Yeah.
agree on that. So if it was a person, if there was a person in the White House that had bitten 11 people, including multiple Secret Service agents, that person would be in prison right now.
Stephen Miller's not, and I'm sure he's probably done that.
He's probably bit a few people. Yeah.
He might play soccer for Uruguay.
True.
Yeah, good point, Billy. Like Suarez. I think we need to have an honest conversation about what's going on with these dogs. And so I wanted to talk to Chaps
Gotta
about
put them down.
You want to kill these dogs, Aaron?
I don't give it. Yes, they biting people. What are you talking about?
I need to know more about the bites, how hard the bites are, if they're including like puppy bites when the dog's like 4 months old.
I don't think those
Can
would
we-
get reported.
Probably not.
Can we lock them up? Can we lock the dogs up?
He should be in prison. Put
Yeah.
Commander in
Yeah,
prison.
I'm
but
in.
dog prison. Why not? We have human prisons. We have the highest prison population in the world.
Put them in
Y'all all
ADX
for
Florence.
locking people up. Let's get these roast dogs off the streets, fam. Let's get 'em.
Speaking of which,
If you
real
bite
quick,
somebody,
Law and
you-
throw 'em in
order.
prison.
Did y'all see
Law and order. Land of law and
Alabama?
order. Let's go.
Alabama is opening a new prison that costs like $1.1 billion, and it's like
Let's go.
250 grand per
Let's
cell or
fucking
something.
go. Let's fucking go, baby.
sounds nice.
Let's lock these motherfuckers up. Everybody.
Now, wait. Is this like it's a really expensive prison? Is that because it's a nice prison to stay at, like with great amenities?
Yeah,
like
that's
a
what we
Swedish
do.
prison?
That's what we do in the South. Is make nice.
Like, is that like
things.
I need you to use context clues here, Billy.
is that like the revamp? Like, is it like funding to you treat our prisoners better?
You
or
said
is it just
in
expensive?
Alabama. You said
Yeah.
Look,
I
if they
doubt
want
it,
to turn
man.
a new page, this might be their turning new page.
I could see.
and it's gonna America recidivism is gonna start
Holiday Inn.
in Alabama.
Holiday Inn
Fuck
Suites is going to renovate Angola.
I could see spending a shitload of money on each cell, like $250,000 on each cell, but not to make it better, to make it actively as bad as possible. So you research like a way to construct the world's most uncomfortable pillow that costs like $5,000 each, and they would buy those and put those in the
My
cell.
pillows in every cell.
Yeah.
Well, let's think about this. Would you rather go to a prison that was built in the 40s where everything is old and trash and it probably sucks, or go to a new prison where they found the newest like bad technology to make prison worse?
New bars.
Because I feel like it's a trade-off.
1940s, I feel like you could escape pretty easily in
Mhm.
a 1940s prison.
That's
I mean,
probably
they
something
did. I
to
think that
consider.
prison outside Philly that guy parkoured out of was pretty old.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would go to an old school prison. But Chaps, you have a lot of experience dealing with dogs. You were a dog trainer in the military. How many dogs have you had?
Personally, or like did I train?
I guess when you were actively training dogs in the military, how many would you be training at any given time?
It really depends on like where I was at. Okinawa, probably I think we had 20 dogs that I was involved with training. One or two of mine were mine. I had a bomb dog and an explosive dog. So I would do both of those. And then when I like started being the trainer, by the time I got to Quantico and I was the chief working dog instructor for the Marines, I had 250 underneath me that I supervise people training.
Quick question, chaps. What's the difference between a bomb dog and an explosive dog?
Well, one finds bombs and the other finds explosives. So the drug, they never combine. So if you have a drug dog, you have a drug dog. If you have a bomb dog, you have a bomb dog. There is no such thing as both of them. They don't do the same. So the way that we do it is with drugs. There's 5 different types of drugs or 6 different types, depending on where you're at. Cocaine, methamphetamines, MDMA, the ecstasy, or no, not ecstasy, hash, and heroin. So those are the 5 main ones. And with drugs, it's kind of like explosives. There's 11 different types of explosives. So what we do is we essentially teach the dogs to find red, like a primary color of red. And then we teach the dog how to find yellow. If you can find red and you can find yellow, you can find every single color within the spectrum between there. So all yellows, all oranges, things like that. So once you have those 5 different drugs, every other drug is made primarily from those different drugs. Most, like 95% of all explosives are detectable if you use that method of having 11 different types of explosives that you train the dogs on. So if you have pipe bombs that's using homemade explosives, it's not technically TNT or ammonium dynamite, the dogs can find the homemade explosives. If a really good dog like the one that I had, he could find magazines like I don't know what a clip. They could find that if they were looking through the house. So it really depends, but that's the difference in the dogs.
So
what about bomb dogs? Were you meaning bomb in drug dogs?
Explosive
versus...
explosive is a bomb dog. So you have explosive dogs and drug dogs.
Okay. So as you're training these dogs, if it's a drug dog and you're trained to find heroin, do you have to teach it to like snort heroin?
No.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So the cool thing about the way that drug dogs, when you see them in the civilian world, like in an airport, sometimes they'll like scratch and paw at where they're at. I always taught passive sit or stare. So like a passive sit for drugs or bombs, just so you keep your training methods the same, because you don't want a bomb dog to start scratching at something. So in order for you make their nose go up to it, they get close to the source and then they sit and stare at the spot that it's called the primary source, of the scent cone brings you into that one spot. So they'll sit there and be locked in on that spot the whole time, that until a toy comes over, and you just do that in training, not in real life. So when the dog is staring, you put the toy over their head, like the Kong or the ball or whatever, and it makes the dog kind of feel like the toy came out from that. So you pair them, it's manipulating a Pavlovian response for the dog. So when the toy goes over the dog's head, he's like, oh shit, it appeared again. It's kind of like the ding, 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 ding. What's it called? The Jack in the Box?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that for the dogs.
If I want to look at my favorite toy, I have to find the thing.
And then so if you see a dog with a real life find, like a real life explosive that they found or a real life drug, their handlers don't give them a toy in that moment. You just get them the fuck out of there. It's mainly for bomb dogs in that scenario. But the dogs, if you look at their faces when they get pulled away, they look so sad. They're like, I worked so hard for that, and now I don't get the toy.
Where's my fucking Kong?
Right? You give it to me, you asshole. I did my work.
It's a car bomb. It's like, I want my squirrel.
Yeah.
Where's my squeaky squirrel?
So like when I found the biggest bomb I ever found, it was a dump truck that had 8 55-gallon drums of homemade explosive that had a shape charge that would push it out and cause shrapnel from the car. So we had to go out. There was 3 people with me. It was a master sergeant in the recon platoon and the company commander named James Rose. He was amazing. So we're running. They're like, this is the spot that it's at. There was a threat that inside that homemade explosive was chlorine too. So they're going to make a chemical chlorine homemade explosive bomb to set off in the middle of Fallujah. So whenever we went up to it, Psycha's tail starts going like bananas. And I'm like, that's it. Like it is in there whenever we're like 100 yards away. And because the wind was blowing in our direction, I'm like, it's 1,000% it. Look at him. He's going crazy. And we learned how to pick up it's called a change of behavior. Once the behavior changes and they're looking, you kind of know that it's in the area. And so we went closer. He was like, no, you have to get actual eyes on this thing. And we went all the way up to it. I had to climb up on the side and look inside. And whenever we ran away, Psycho was like, he was so excited from the amount of toys that he thought he was going to get. He legitimately started pissing himself. Like he was pissing, and there was like shit, like all kinds of things were happening because it was so much explosives. He's like, this must be the tennis ball factory.
Yeah.
This is insane.
It's
that
a
I'm right
jackpot.
here.
He hit the absolute jackpot.
And so me and the other 3 guys, I'm like, go, it's it. And me and Psycho are running past everybody. And I remember just the military thing. I climbed up on the truck. I looked in the truck, and the master sergeant that was going, he was like, Captain Rhodes is going to get the biggest award out of this, not you. And I was like, shit. And you could look at Syka's face, and he looked disappointed in the 300-yard sprint that we did afterwards.
Yeah.
Like when we got there, he was just like, this is fucked up.
Did Syka get a medal?
They don't get medals. In real life, dogs don't have ranks or medals. They do it for like a publicity thing.
They should get medals.
Because think about like a dog. I tell the dog what to do. How in the fuck does a dog outrank me? Like I tell him what to do.
Well, then your captain told you what to do.
Right? But the dog's lower than me. I give him the instructions.
I just think that there should be a special. They shouldn't share the same awards and the same recognitions as humans do, but there should be a dog recognition thing.
Yeah, they do.
Like, very good boy.
Yeah.
They do
very, very good boy.
Yeah.
The bestest boy.
Yeah, they do
girl.
put stuff in their record of like the awards that handlers have been attached with him got. Like Syka would have like a Purple Heart and some other ones for me. And then the next guy that took him, Greg Adsma, there would be stuff in his record book that would be attached to Syka too.
Gotcha. All right, so to the drug question, when you're training a dog on cocaine, though, at some point, doesn't the dog have to learn what the smell of cocaine is?
Yeah, right from the beginning.
So do they ever like sniff actual cocaine?
No. So theoretically it could happen in real life, but in training, we have these little tins that kind of look like Zen cans that they have little holes.
Lucy cans.
Yeah, and there's a substance that keeps the cocaine inside of it, but it's porous, so it allows it to come out. And there's different levels. So you would start with, let's say, 20 grams of cocaine, which is a decent amount. And that's what you would train the dog on. But then you step down. It's called successive approximation, where you start off with a big amount, and then you go smaller because you teach them to become better and better. Same thing whenever you're giving them the source of of the odor in a wall at first. There's like a tube that has the substance inside. Their nose goes directly in it. By the time that you're done, Syka was able to find 2 ounces of explosives that were buried like 2 feet down in the sand.
Huh. They're geniuses. Dogs are geniuses.
Mm-hmm.
So, Commander Biden has a biting issue, allegedly. 11, I would say it's past the point of being an issue. It's like, it's a very big problem. How can we fix Commander Biden? What do you think? I know you don't have all the details about Commander Biden's life, but if you were to be dropped in the White House right now to train him, what would you do? He's
not trainable. There's no chance. The amount of really good dog handlers that I know personally that are in the Secret Service, they have turned over every stone that they possibly can with that dog. There's no doubt in my mind that they've gone through every single method, convulsion, inducive, they like all the different types of training that you could put on a dog, they've done it. There's no doubt, because it's the president's dog that's going to be around the president. They don't want that dog to be a wild card, especially not with the way that Biden is and how he carries himself now. I don't think the dog's trainable.
That's sad.
Euthanasia.
Maybe it's just the environment. Maybe he needs a new environment.
Yeah, that's definitely it. It's a dog. I mean, that's what I always say is the problem with people who adopt like Belgian Malinois and German Shepherds. Those dogs were designed to be working dogs. Some of them still have such an alpha tendency that they want to work. If you have a dog like Commander or a dog like Major, and you're not working them or exercising them till exhaustion, you are causing that problem yourself. So when somebody has a normal job where they're out until 5 p.m. every day, and then you come home and your house is tore up, it's because you kept a rocket inside your house that was lit at all times.
Mm-hmm. They have to burn all their fuel.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get that
Yo,
dog
can
outside.
you get a dog to, let's say, to like trainer wise, can you train a dog to go look for your golf ball?
Yeah.
So like, I think I might get a dog now if we could do this. Okay.
You absolutely could. So what you would do in that is that you would start off, you would get the yellow foam balls that you would have. You would take your pitching wedge or even just throwing the ball back and forth, and you would do it with a little yellow foam ball at first so they get it to put into their mouth. And then whenever they are good at that and proficient at that, at bringing it back, you would start throwing it further and further. And then you would take your pitching wedge out and do it like 4 or 5 feet. And then you would do it 10 feet. And eventually they would get to the point where they can know where you're hitting it from and they would know where to go look.
So
You
like
want a pointer.
So
Yeah.
like No, what I'm saying is like this would make sense, like to get like an active dog like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like, cause I play a lot of golf now, so like I'll walk courses, and like the only annoying part about walking courses is like sometimes like it's hard to spot. Like I'm losing like far sight vision. Like I'm getting pretty bad. So like after like 150, 200 yards, like I kind of lose the ball. And so I kind of guesstimate where it's at, and I usually find it. But like it would be dope to have a dog. As soon as I tee off, he goes and runs and then sits by my ball, so I ain't gonna worry about shit.
The biggest issue with that is there's not a whole lot of smell that's on a golf ball because it comes straight from the factory, and that's not going to be a consistent. It's not going to be a consistent smell if it was made in a couple different factories. So your best bet there, if you wanted to do something like that, is putting it in like your clothing drawer that's like your laundry hamper or something like that, that the balls become smelling like you. That would be the easiest way to do it because they can identify that odor a lot more than all the other different golf balls that are within the same area.
If this is possible, I'm down to get a dog.
I mean, they can
Well,
smell
what about-
termites inside of hundreds of yards of like telephone poles. They can find cancer. They even trained it at the beginning of COVID to be able to identify some of the characteristics of COVID that people were having.
Wow.
In World War Z, they even
Cancer.
smelled zombies before they changed.
They do cancer. They do cadavers. I mean, they do all kinds of stuff. You could teach it if you could teach a dog to locate cancer inside a body. Surely you could do it with a golf ball.
So would it be better if the golf balls were sitting in Arian's hamper, or if he like just had them sit in like a giant tub of peanuts?
I mean, you could do yeah, that would work. Like any distinguishing smell that you could have,
Fish
like
oil.
yeah, anything like that. You could do that for sure.
What is that? What is the most sensitive smell that dogs are sensitive to? I mean, do they have a spectrum like we have a spectrum as far as like sight is concerned?
I don't know what they would consider to be the strongest, but the way that I describe whenever I would do demonstrations, I don't think people can really comprehend the amount of sensory capabilities that a dog has through its nose. So I always explain it like if I train a dog to find Marlboro Reds and Newports and Marlboro Lights aren't that different. If I taught the dog, I could put a pack of Marlboro Reds inside a big building, a big factory of Marlboro Lights, and the dog would be able to identify. You go into
Crazy.
You go to a Pizza Hut, you smell pizza. Dog goes in it, they smell the flour, the sugar, the tomatoes, the mushrooms. They smell every single piece of ingredient is in there. That's why they're able to dissect and break down the odor of whatever they're looking for, mask all the different things. Like people think that coffee is going to stop it, gasoline is going to stop it, trash is going to stop it. If you want to get around a drug dog in the civilian world, have your car as messy as you possibly can.
So it smells everything.
Put Taco Bell in there, put all that kind of stuff, because the handler, it's not the dog that's going to make a mistake. It's going to be the handler. The handler is going to assume that the dog is going after it because there's food inside there.
Okay.
And the handler is going to be like, I don't want the dog to go in food. He's pulling in there because there's a bunch of food. But in reality, you're using food that is normal as a mask.
That's interesting.
Wow.
I
I'm
that's a
definitely
good
gonna use food if I start just having massive amounts of drugs to hide it. That's another question I had. If hold on. Damn it, my mind just went blank. Hold on, I'm gonna think of it. Y'all talk. It's gonna come back.
All right.
It was dope.
Not all dogs are that talented.
No, of course not.
Some dogs
No.
are just lovers.
Yeah, and we would look at, so whenever you're bringing in different dogs, one, there's, for the DoD, there's a puppy program that you identify dogs that have different traits and you breed those together to maintain those traits. It's kind of like individual or small local micro evolution in a way, like where you're keeping the traits that you want and getting rid of the one you don't. So if you're looking for, one of the ones that I was involved in selecting different dogs from a breeder was, if you're looking for a tracking dog, you don't want a dog that is, whenever it's looking for stuff and it's just walking outside, that his nose is up in the air, or her nose is up in the air looking for different things. You want to identify, whenever you're going to buy one of those dogs, that their nose is already on the ground, because that's something that's natural. If it starts up at top, you have to train it to go down. And once dogs become exhausted, their training kind of slips. Mm-hmm. So if it starts at the ground because the training is good, after a long period of time, it's going to go up and up and up. If you have a dog that's naturally his nose is on the ground, then that dog, whenever, even if it's tired, it's going to stay at the spot that the scent cone is going to be the strongest.
Interesting.
Remember what I was gonna say. We have like evolutionarily been, I guess, programmed to like when we smell fecal matter to be repulsed from it because there could be bacteria in there, and so we don't like it. Dogs, they sniff shit and piss all the time. So like, do they not have that same evolution, or maybe the bacteria doesn't affect them? How does it work? Because they're not repulsed by repugnant smells like we are.
Yeah, I think a lot of the repugnant smells for us too is the association based on how people act around us. I'm not sure if it's inherently a gross smell, but over the course of human history, it's become a gross smell. Whereas in dogs and pigs are the same way too, and a lot of other animals, because their noses are so small, just because it's shit doesn't mean it's devoid of nutrients. So they can smell the micronutrients in that. Typically, if your dog is eating shit or cat shit, it's because they're lacking something else.
So wait, you just said that thinking that poop smells gross is a social construct.
I think so. I think that it's been developed over the course of human history.
Really? Is it?
Well,
I think
actually, that makes sense because think about like when you go like in Europe, they don't wear deodorant, and that's normal to them, but it smells bad to Americans.
Yeah, I think, and then that became a universal thing where they had to get rid of the shit because they probably noticed through observation that people were getting sick. I don't think there's any smell that is inherently revolting to the basic human conditions without social influence.
Well, what about people that smell something and throw up?
What's that?
If you smell something and throw up.
I think it could be worse. The guttural reaction can be worse, but I think that was developed and became worse over time.
So you think if there was someone who was born in the jungle and never met another person and then like went into a sewer, they wouldn't think it smells bad? I'm
not sure.
We should.
Do you think it's
but
a
like that would have
tolerance
to
thing?
be the case, right?
I mean, that's a good experiment to have. I don't know if that's happened, but I would, if that happened and it was wrong, I would be like, I was completely wrong. But I don't, just in my head, I don't know of any other smell. Like if you...
Death, decay.
Yeah, like those types of things. And I think it's because of what happens if you don't remove that, right? Like if you know as a person, if there's a dead body rotting, that you have to remove it.
Well,
Same thing with other types of dead things. We know inherently that we have to get rid of that.
But I think it kind of goes back to what Arian was saying earlier, which is like if you smell decay, that's your brain interpreting it as like this can be a really bad thing if we allow this thing to hang out here. It can poison our water. It can get us sick. It'll attract animals. So like evolutionarily speaking, we developed a hatred of that. But I actually do think that you do smell death and you're like, oh, that's a bad smell.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that we've tricked ourselves into thinking that it's bad.
No, I
think it's like a hardwired repugnant smell for us.
Yeah, but I think it's worsened because we know what the effects are.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from some social evolution.
I've
never really thought about it until right now, so I might be completely wrong, but it makes a lot of sense to me.
I want to take a jungle guy.
Well, think about this. Scavengers. Dogs are scavengers. Rotting smell is good for them, but apes were vegetarians and only got into scavenging like way later. So like a rotting corpse smells good to a dog. It means food.
Yeah, like something like, for instance, raw chicken for decades, I would imagine centuries, wasn't revolting because people weren't aware of what salmonella poison is. Now you associate the smell of raw chicken with something that's being grossed, and people are repulsed by it because they know of what's inside. I would imagine in the late 1500s, nobody was repulsed by the smell of chickens.
Now they use AI to make sure it's cooked.
Because like beef, you don't have that same feeling. You know, whenever you pick up raw beef, if you smell it, you're not repulsed by it.
No.
But you have been taught that chicken, whenever it's older or if it's even raw, that it stinks.
Holding slimy ass chicken, yeah.
But if you bite into raw meat, like that visceral, like this ain't good for me comes out.
I think that's a social evolution thing too, because people used to eat raw meat all the time.
And you still eat raw steak. Like if you cook,
Yeah,
if you cook
tartare.
you can do tartare,
Yeah,
carpaccio,
That's true.
or
I eat raw tuna all the time, actually.
yeah, and it's delicious.
Damn.
Or you even when you like just sear a steak on the outside, if you make it like rare or
Maybe
medium
it's
rare.
like everything else. Most things like they evolve together. Socio dynamics, societal dynamics. With our environmental dynamics, and it kind of just goes together. That actually makes sense.
Yeah. All right. So I guess in conclusion, Commander Biden, not fixable, incorrigible.
Yo, Maddie put this shit in the in the chat, which is fucking hilarious. Fox News put out a little thing about all of Commander's bite incidents, and I thought it was like over the course of his life. No, dogs, it started in late October 2000 or early October 2022. So all his bite incidents, this is just what's been reported. So this motherfucker probably been
11
biting
bites in 2022.
since 2022. He bit 11 motherfuckers, dog. So he probably been biting people way before this. This is just documented. You know what I mean?
He's put
So
down
he's
in
an
a big
asshole.
way, any other dog.
It is
This
what it
guy's
is.
the LeBron of biting people.
The Taylor Swift of it.
Yeah.
No, it's a Bill Russell.
Greatest to ever do it.
He is Bill Russell with 11 rings.
I think
11
he-
bites.
11 bites, man.
I think he's a system dog though, because he's got all these strangers around him all the time, and so as opposed to like somebody that if you just had a normal family with Commander in your house, wouldn't have the opportunity to bite 11 people. But given the nature of the White House, visitors coming in, coming out, different Secret Service people, like he's definitely in an environment where it makes 11 bites more likely.
No doubt.
It's like if you're a left-handed hitter on the Yankees and you've got the short porch in right field, you're going to hit a shitload of home runs, as opposed to if you play in a regular ballpark where you can't get those balls over the fence. A lot of those are just outs.
Yeah, and I guess I should take it back that it's not he's untrainable. He's untrainable in that environment. Like if you put him in a different environment with people like his pack inside his own home without new people coming in and out all the time, and because German Shepherds are incredibly protective of people that are in their pack. So there has to be a shit ton of people that are constantly around, and some dogs just flat out refuse to be socialized.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't have it in them.
I have a theory.
Okay.
I think Commander Biden is MAGA. I think he sees what's going on in the White House, and he's doing his damnedest to be like, won't somebody please do something about this? And they're blaming it on him. This guy, he hears what's going on inside the walls. He sees that this guy's completely mentally unfit to serve, and he's going to the Secret Service, the guys who are supposed to do something about it. And he's begging, and nobody's listening.
Where was Commander?
Commander Biden is trying to save this country.
Commander Biden's like, I'm not the one that deserves to be put down.
Right. Exactly.
Where was Commander on January 6th? Was
Right.
he trying to do something? Was he trying to do something about this?
Still at the White House, probably.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Talking about dog bites. One time I was reading up about dog biting, how to prevent it. I own a bully breed, so like, everyone talks about pit bulls like being dangerous, right? And like that's a trope that's well known. But you know what dog actually has a very weird instance? If you read up a lot of dog fatalities in the US, huskies there's multiple instances of huskies killing newborn kids in their cribs for some crazy reason.
Is that because
are they
genetically more similar to wolves?
No, I don't think by any means, but there's just like for some reason a baby crying really pisses off. There's some multiple instances.
They have extreme high, I used to have a husky, so they have like extremely sensitive, like to high pitch sounds. They'll moan. So like because I actually had a new baby. She's 5 now or 6 now. When I had the husky around, and so when she would cry, she had a very high pitched sound, and he would mimic what she was doing. He would just go, oh, he'd do like that type shit. And like every time you do like a high pitched sound, he did that. But we got him trained. I didn't know that about huskies. I'd have got him out of my house.
Yeah.
But we got him trained by the same dude in Miami who trains police dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And so like he was off leash. And so like you could literally walk around him in the mall and like you can like zeet him. What's it mean? Sit in German. He had German commands. And so like you give him these commands and like you literally walk around, he'll just follow you on your left side wherever you go, like no matter where you go.
Mm-hmm.
And so but yeah, like they have it extremely like, I mean, I guess all dogs could hear very well, but like for whatever reason, high pitched sounds really bothered him, like for real.
Well, I didn't know that about Huskies, that they were more triggered around infants.
I hadn't
than
heard that
other
either.
dogs.
I
This
don't
is
know
Billy
that to be
fact.
true.
Yeah, it's a Billy
Let's make
fact.
fact check Billy. Yeah.
Billy's away from his computer right now, so we can say with all honesty, like there's a 50-50 chance that's true.
I have a theory I want to talk about with you guys. I feel like it's a good place. So you know how lots of people are up in arms about how much money we send to Ukraine?
Mhm.
Yes.
I
You're
feel
sitting
like
next to one of the biggest.
I feel like that money's already been allocated. I feel like it was allocated before. I think it's contracts that we had with Halliburton and all the other defense agencies that were extended past because they thought that there was a possibility that the war in Afghanistan would continue. We had all that budget for all the different weapons and munitions from Iraq and Afghanistan, trillions of dollars spent. So I think that money was already allocated through contracts, and that's the reason why the DoD is able to do it, because it's 10% of the DoD's budget, which is about the same amount that we would spend on those wars in Afghanistan.
Interesting.
I think that the
Wait.
contracts were already signed and they had to be delivered. So if they need to be delivered somewhere, they might as well do it to a proxy war with Russia.
Just was
So
business as
you-
usual.
Wait, no, but this implies that there had to be a proxy war planned.
No, it was convenience. It was a
necessarily.
war of
Yeah.
convenience.
So that
But-
could be true, but then why, when they ask all these politicians, Democrats and Republicans, like, would you like stop giving money to Ukraine? They're like, no, we need to give them more.
Well, there isn't. Like, there's people that are involved in the government that absolutely don't want to do that. And I think I really believe that they have the contract signs and there's deliverables. And one, we don't have the ability to store a lot of that. Like, if you're not expending that much munitions, think about the amount of munitions that $10 billion will give you. Like, it's a ton of money that they're able to spend. And I think that they had contractual agreements.
I don't know enough about government contracting to know how that works, where if you sign a contract, how much is like guaranteed to be spent, how much can you get out of if you don't need those services anymore. Like, what if they contract with Halliburton, and let's say hypothetically the war in Iraq had lasted like 2 years, like they initially said it was going to last. Would Halliburton, if the war ended before that, would they be like, hey, you still owe us a bunch of money because you guys won the war?
I think so. I think it's like military rent. Like, you sign the contract and you get what you get.
Huh.
Because anything else is deliverables. Like, the F-35 fucking sucks, and there's a lot of problems.
Watch your mouth.
There's a lot of problems with it. But even when there was problems, they had to deliver that money.
Yeah.
But are you saying, so then this war pops up and they're like, oh, perfect, now there's somewhere to send this?
Yeah, that's kind of what I think. Because think about, you, in order to give that much money, you already have to have a congressional budget. There's discretionary money inside the Department of Defense budget. So they haven't asked Congress for much more money. They asked Congress to redo lines of appropriation. That appropriation is already within the defense budget, so it has to be allocated somewhere else. Same thing with FEMA. If FEMA goes out and the president declares a state of emergency, like in Miami, if there's a big hurricane, they can allocate $60 billion or whatever. Let's say that only takes $30 billion for the government to do what it needs to do. Because they have those big chunks of money, like for hurricanes, that is passed by Congress, then they could take that money that's already been allocated, change the line of appropriation, and then, like when certain areas of Chicago had flooding, that money from Miami can be transferred to what's happening in Illinois, even though it's a different disaster. It's just a line of appropriation
It's
change.
like we don't need it down here anymore, but we do need it there.
Right.
You've already given us the money, authorize us to send it somewhere else.
The money's there. We just have to use it in a different pot. Kind of like what we did with the Barstool Fund.
Would you say that maybe the intelligence community may have, in order to ensure this allocation went smoothly, may have like caused some sparks and some pressure points in the world to maybe exacerbate tensions and sort of
No, I think
cause the
there's
proxy war?
there's high risk with the war in Russia still, because they have the most nuclear weapons of anybody else, 7,200 still. So with 7,200, I don't think that's a bear that you poke. But once that can of worms was opened by them being on the border and being there so long and having a real line of demarcation that we said that they couldn't pass and the international community couldn't pass, once they did that, I think that opened up Pandora's box for us sending munitions.
Billy still thinks that we started the war in Ukraine, is what he's getting at, I think, here.
I don't think we is in someone acting the best interests of the American people in the world.
He thinks Hunter Biden has started the war in Ukraine to fund his coke habit.
Nope. Nope. We were doing stuff there before this even happened, before even 2014.
It was ridiculous what happened in Canadian Parliament. Did you guys see that?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the I forget the exact term for it's like the Speaker of the House, and I'm woefully unread on like Canadian.
Yeah, it's their
politics.
Speaker of the House.
Their Speaker of
The
the
House
House.
of Commons, yeah.
So he invited,
I
or
think that's what they call it.
they recognized a soldier from an old war that used to fight against the Russians in Ukraine. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, well, what war could that possibly be? Where there were some Ukrainians fighting against Russia. If you thought World War II, then you would be correct.
Guy was about 90.
Yes, he was about 90 years old, and he was a former member of a battalion that he was a Nazi. He was like literally fighting for the Nazis.
Standing ovation.
In World War II. And to be fair, I don't think that people in Parliament knew that he was a Nazi at the time. I think it was a pretty bad, egregious error on their part and like very short-sighted with the lack of history to invite this guy there. But I don't think that everybody that gave him a round of applause knew that he was actually like.
Oh, absolutely not.
No,
Literally
but that
not.
shows how
Invited.
stupid this whole thing is. That they're just blindly applauding anyone that has anything to do with Ukraine. Like, oh, such a hero.
Yeah, that is very, very dumb. I agree with that. But he was a 98-year-old Nazi. And all-time reverse card Uno on this guy because he had been like laying low for a while and nobody really talked about him ever since he became a topic of the news. Now Poland is trying to get him extradited back to Poland to answer questions for war crimes that he allegedly committed in World War II.
And Canada's trying to deport him.
And Canada's trying to deport him right now. So
Who
here's
found this guy?
So Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky delivered an address in the House of Commons on Friday. Canadian lawmakers gave 98-year-old Yaroslav Hunka a standing ovation when Speaker Anthony Rota drew attention to him. Rota introduced Hunka as a war hero who fought for the 1st Ukrainian Division. Observers over the weekend began to publicize the fact that the 1st Ukrainian Division also was known as the Waffen-SS Galicia Division or the SS 14th Waffen Division, a voluntary unit that was under the command of the Nazis. So he's a volunteer Nazi soldier.
You just have to smash that Google button one time.
Just one time, figure out who this guy is. So the Speaker of the House of Commons resigned because he's like, my bad. I shouldn't have.
Damn, resigned.
I shouldn't have publicly recognized a Nazi soldier on the floor of Canadian Parliament.
McCarthy and Pelosi would have never done that. They'd never.
No, they would have doubled down.
Yeah.
Say what you want about the. I'm not sure who invited him. I think it was Rota, actually, because he's the one that resigned for it.
I mean, I just don't get how you don't do that due diligence. Like,
Yeah, doesn't really make a lot of
Why
sense.
would you show up if you knew you were a former Nazi soldier and the Canadian Parliament says, hey, want to come like get a standing ovation? I feel like I'm busy that day, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like, why would you show up?
Yeah.
At 98, I'm
he's like-
accepting
he's like-
any standing ovation I could get.
But also, he's like he's 98 and he ain't been caught yet. So he's like the hubris on him is probably
Yeah.
big. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Probably think he can get away with anything.
Shawshank Redemption in a big way.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope they deport his ass.
That would be hilarious.
I love watching like 95-year-old Nazis stand trial.
Yeah.
It's so great to they thought that they got away with everything.
And some people feel sorry for him. Like, how?
Yeah, don't. Yeah, okay, because there's somebody's
They're probably Nazis.
there's
Monster
right,
Next
yeah.
Door. That was a great film where the guy, they kept trying to bring him to trial, but he kept having like some weird ailment. Like, oh, my back hurts. I can't go to trial. And they finally got him.
Yeah, just because
That was ridiculous.
there's somebody's grandfather right now, that doesn't mean that they're good. Well, they're nice to their family. Okay, well, send their ass overseas. Try them for war crimes. Send them to Israel. Put them on trial. All right. Well, anything else we want to get into real quick?
Are we going to talk about space?
We're going to get into space in a second. It's brought to you by our great friends over at Factor. Billy's been eating Factor. You've been smashing the Factor, Billy?
Oh, hell yeah. I got this new thing. It's called carrying and burning the boats, and it's just working out hard at 5:30 a.m. But as you know, diet is almost more important than exercise, and Factor has been taking it to the next level. I go low carb. It's the perfect meal prep, perfect portions, perfect macros, everything just to like get awesome gains.
That's great. I like the phrase "burn the boats" too. That's one of my favorite things to say.
Burn and carry.
Burn
'Cause
and
some
carry the
people
boats.
just carry the boats. Some people burn the boats. I'm doing both.
Are you burning the boats before you carry them? That doesn't make sense.
No, I carry them, then I burn them.
It's way lighter that way. If you're trying to burn the boats and maybe burn some calories too, Factor has it all. They're America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit. They can help you fuel up with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals. They're delivered straight to your door. You're going to save time. You're going to eat well, and you'll stay on track with your healthy lifestyle. It's the busy fall season, and you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Super easy. I love how easy Factor is. It's fresh, right, Billy?
Very fresh.
Very fresh. And if Billy's eating it, you know that he takes his nutrition very seriously. It's like the only thing he thinks about is like hacking his body for better gains, leaner cuts.
For performance.
For performance. Billy is a fine-tuned machine right now, thanks to Factor. And their meals are fresh. They're never frozen. They're ready to eat in 2 minutes. And you have over 34 weekly selections that you can choose from. If you're looking for calorie-conscious options during the busy season, you can try delicious dietitian-approved Calorie Smart meals. They've got around or less than 550 calories per serving. That's great. Very, very healthy. Round out your meal, replenish your snack supply with an assortment of 45 add-ons. You've got breakfast items like apple cinnamon pancakes, bacon and cheddar egg bites, and potato, bacon, and egg breakfast skillets. Or for a wellness boost, you can try refreshing beverage options like cold-pressed juices, shakes, and smoothies. Get Factor. Enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered right to your door, ready in just 2 minutes. No prep, and best of all, there's no mess, no cleanup afterwards. Factor's super easy, super delicious. You can go to factormeals.com/dosing50 and use code dosing50 to get 50% off. That's code dosing50 at factormeals.com/dosing50. Boom, 50% off. 50% off, 50% off. Great meals, great results. Turn your body into an instrument like Billy has. A finely tuned instrument. All right, let's talk about some space, boys and girls. It's space time. Space time, motherfucker. And we've got a great interview coming up with a real-life astronaut, too. Asked him some questions that we were curious to know the answers to about space, about being an astronaut. Seems like a good dude. Great story. Check out his movie, Million Miles Away. It's on Prime Video right now. So going to have a great interview with Jose Hernandez coming up in a little bit. So let's talk about space. I have one thing that I want to talk about with space, but I don't want to lead off with it. It's more of a later topic to get to. It's Planet X, Nibiru, but we're not going to talk about it now. But anywhere else you guys want to start with a more grounded space discussion would sound good.
Very grounded.
I was gonna bang it. I'll start out with similar to the shit that we was talking about in the last episode with the general theory of relativity, which had everything to do with space and space-time. Space is a very odd place, man. So much so it's like, when you ask the average person about space and you ask them what it is, it's like empty there. You hear the empty space, and as we learned in the last episode, it's not empty. It is a thing. And even further into the understandings of space, it gets wild. Like there's literally, they theorize that like there's like what they call quantum fluctuations, where particles pop in and out of existence in empty space. And so much is so like what we know about space in general and the entire universe of the matter that we account for, we are aware of 5% of it, around 5% of the matter. So that's all the stuff like rocks, water, all the planets, stars. We understand, we are aware about 5% of the matter in the universe. The rest, we don't really know what's going on. We have hypothesis about it, but there's two main ones that I want to touch on, which is dark matter and dark energy. Dark matter is wild. Dark matter is So like when astrophysicists like calculate the gravity in galaxies, right? If like Newton's gravitational law is correct, and the farther away something is, the less gravitational attraction it has, right? So by those like laws of physics that we understand, galaxies, the outside stars or planets or matter in general should be rotating more slowly than the ones closer to the center of a galaxy, because it's supposed to be caught in the gravity and supposed to be going faster, right? Well, that's not what they observe. What they observe is it's rotating at pretty much the same rate, which means there's a bunch of different gravity that we can't account for. So when we look at stuff in space, there's massive amounts of gravity that doesn't interact with light, right? Because everything else that we see interacts with everything else in the universe, except for what they call dark matter. Now, they can calculate how much gravity is supposed to be like in a galaxy or a cluster or whatever. But there's massive amounts that they can't see. So like there's something in the universe that is gravitationally keeping galaxies together. And we don't know what it is. It doesn't interact with any known particles. It doesn't interact with light, but we can measure its effects on the universe around it. So like, remember when I was explaining about how Einstein proved that space is malleable and it bends because of the light. It bent the light around the star. Well, there's stuff in the universe that is bending light, and we don't know what it is, but it doesn't interact with it. It's very, very odd. It's very weird. Nobody knows what's going on. They have theories, like, I've heard different things. Like I remember Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about it. He was like, it could be like a parallel universe that's regular gravity that's just pulling on. But we don't know. Everything is just postulation. So that's dark matter, right?
The dude Brian Cox that came on the show like 2 years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah.
year and a half ago, the physicist.
Mhm.
He was me and Billy went to his presentation that he gave at where was that, Billy? Beacon Theater
Yeah,
in New York.
Upper West Side.
And he was explaining like different theories of the universe, and how, one main theory that people have is that there's an infinite number of universes that exist at any given time. And that blew my mind. And he was talking about how dark matter relates to that, which I'm not even smart enough to comprehend. I probably,
Yes, you are.
like you said, we
hate
know
when you do that.
5% of the universe. No, I'm serious. Like in the moment, I might have understood like a little bit more than I can re-explain right now. But one of the prevailing theories is that there's infinite universes that they're existing simultaneously. So every possible thing that's happening right now, or every variation of everything that's happening in this universe is happening in other universes with tweaks, with differences. Like everything's happening all at once. It's like that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once or whatever. I'm completely butchering this explanation, Arian. Maybe you can clean it up a little bit, but it blows your mind to think about that. What we're experiencing right now is one infinitesimally small portion of what's happening right now in every other universe.
And I think it's like what you're saying, it's unfathomable. Like a lot
Yeah.
of the stuff that comes out. Like there was an article recently this year came out that they found the world's largest, or the universe's largest black hole ever. You want to know how big it is?
Yeah.
Oh, probably.
It can fit 30 billion suns.
Oh, wow.
Holy shit.
What the fuck?
What is it?
Like how?
That's the thing that
Like that.
confuses me.
There's simply no way any human can fathom what 30 billion suns means.
No.
Like how much? It's just crazy.
So
and that's one black hole,
But there's like other universes where every single bet that I make on NFL Sunday hits
and you crush it.
and I absolutely dominate. So
Yeah.
I'm actually not that bad this
Nebula
year.
PFT.
Yeah. You're being very small-minded, and you have a very narrow perspective if you think that I'm bad at gambling this year just because all my bets are losing all the time. That's good to know.
I mean, to think about this. What do you say? 36 billion suns?
30 billion. Yeah.
30 billion? There's a million Earths in the sun.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And there's like a million. It's like the scales are insane. And think about how much we don't know about Earth.
So
Or the ocean.
yeah.
Yeah. Like how much of the Earth the mass of the Earth that we haven't like.
Space will freak you out if you think about it too much.
Yeah.
Even if you think about it a little bit, it'll freak you out.
Like I was trying to grasp my head around the idea that we could see the Big Bang.
Yeah.
And how?
Yeah.
I mean, looking back 5.6 billion years or whatever it is in time with just a telescope that we built, like the James Webb, that they say eventually when that gets far enough out, it will be able to see clearly, and that we'll be able to clearly see the Big Bang.
That'd be wild.
Well, that's
seeing
the
start of
thing.
the
So like that's the
universe.
crazy shit about space, man. So it's, I mean, kind of like what I was saying. Like with dark matter, it also has dark energy. Dark energy accounts for like 60% of the universe's energy that we know of, right? And so the universe, I'm sure you have heard of it, but it's expanding, and not only is it expanding, it's accelerating. And so there'll come a time when we can't see the stars because they've traveled so far away from us. So like that's what, like, they don't know what is causing, like, literally space is like, I don't want to say replicating itself, but it's like it's literally pushing everything away, whereas we used to think it was like gonna collapse in because of the gravitational forces, but like something's holding the galaxies together and something's pushing everything away. So it's like to say, like, we'll be able to see the edges of it. Like there'll come a time where we can't even see a near galaxy or a near star. That's
so that also,
bananas.
if it's accelerating, that means that like the Big Bang in the cosmic scheme of things happened not that long ago. If it's accelerating, that means that we've still got energy that we're like burning off from that initial explosion.
There's still
That's
energy.
kind of
Well,
reassuring.
there's never like, so that's one of the things that E equal MC squared proved, was like that energy is neither created nor destroyed. All the energy that ever was in the universe is in the universe. So yeah, we still got energy in the universe, and but it's rapidly accelerating, and we don't know why. That's wild.
That's what I'm saying. Like if you look at like a gun, or I guess we'll talk about football terms. If you're running like a 40-yard dash, you accelerate through like your first probably 20, 25 yards, and then you start to gradually decelerate. Or if you're running like a 100-yard dash, so the people that are best at running the 100-yard dash, they just decelerate slower at the end than everybody else is. They keep their speed up. But initially, your burst that you have, that's like the first, confined within like the first 20, 30 yards. That's where we're at right now in the universe. If we're still accelerating, it means that we've just gotten that burst of energy, and then eventually we'll still keep expanding, but it's not going to be going faster and faster and faster.
Well, that's like if you operate under the premise that the universe is following the laws of physics as we know it, right? So like if something was to explode, the natural understanding of it is it would come back together, right? That's not what they observe. That's the crazy shit. They observe it. It's not just accelerating. It's accelerating at a faster rate. So as time goes on, it's accelerating faster and faster and faster. So
oh shit, okay.
It's almost like something's pushing. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't account for what's actually pushing it. And so that's it would make sense. Like I understand what you're saying. Like,
yeah,
like that's the stage we're at, but that's not what they observe. They observe that the initial expansion is happening, but it's like accelerating, like something's accelerating.
So not only the accelerating is accelerating.
Yes. At an
that's crazy.
Yeah, at an exponential rate. Yeah.
I can see that gives me a headache.
Yeah.
Like that kind of, whenever you really try to think about that, and then looking at that and looking back down at Earth and thinking about globalism not being a thing. Like imagine being an alien coming like, you guys do what now with your maps? You guys do, how do you guys do this?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like you guys aren't on the same team down here? What's
Right.
up? What's up with
Yeah.
that? What's up with scientists? Scientists love black holes so much.
They're kinda
that's
sick.
like You talk to any physicist and they'll just like hear about a black hole and just cream themselves.
That's kind of
Especially the 30.
you know what?
I looked it up. There's like 1 million articles. It's like gargantuan, biggest, holy roller of black holes. Like,
Yeah.
there's a ton.
They took a picture of a black hole. That's another thing that Brian Cox showed us was like a high res image of a black hole using, I don't know, some sort of not thermal imaging, but like non ultraviolet, not what we see with our own eyes. And they showed a picture of the black hole, and he was like, "Isn't this beautiful?" I was like,
It's like a blurry orange circle.
yeah." And he's like, "Oh my god, this
Yeah.
thing it's redefining my entire brain." It's like, well, okay, all right, yeah. It's like looking at a magic eye poster when you can't see them. You're like, "Oh yeah, I see the graph for sure." Yeah, I used
they
to lie
do
about
look
that
pretty
shit all
sick.
the time.
I mean, they look pretty cool.
There's white holes,
There you go.
Oh yeah,
theoretically.
Billy.
all holes matter.
no, but
Yeah.
oh no, but that was something like apparently not only have we found these, but there might be the opposite of black holes that spit out light.
How can that?
And
Wouldn't that just be a star? Because that's
theoretically,
what black holes are. I mean, I've never heard of white holes. So explain it to me, because like theoretically, black holes are condensed stars that its gravitational pull is so big that light can't escape it. So if it's a white hole and it just emits light, isn't that just what a star is?
It's because the media doesn't
it's
cover
the
white
opposite.
holes.
It spits out light and matter at the same time. I think it's the other end of the wormhole, like where the matter and light goes from a black hole. I think that's the thing, is we just haven't seen one we haven't discovered one yet.
I mean,
A white
From
hole.
what I
I've
gather.
never heard of a white hole.
Yeah, it's
A less scary fact about the universe: the Milky Way smells like raspberry vodka.
okay. Go on.
Yeah. So basically, the Milky Way is made up of like ethyl alcohol. I may be wrong about that, in another chemical that gives raspberry its smell. And if you were to like go smell it, it would smell like raspberry vodka.
So wait, so the Milky Way, it's our galaxy. It's comprised of I don't know, hundreds of thousands, millions of stars probably. I don't know the exact number. And it's composed of planets as well. But there's like something else in there that's made of ethyl alcohol?
Yeah, it's like
the
a
center,
universe,
the
like,
center of the Milky
air
Way.
freshener.
Okay.
They give it that new car smell. They just hang it on one of the asteroids as it goes around.
So the center of the
Yes.
Milky Way.
So the Sagittarius B2, a vast dust cloud at the center of our galaxy. Yeah. So they found a substance called ethyl formate, which is the chemical responsible for the flavor of raspberries. So maybe that smells like raspberries.
That
It
would be
and
delicious.
yeah, it
if
smells
true.
like rum or vodka. So
I'm gonna go with Billy's right. The center of the Milky Way smells like raspberry vodka.
I want to believe
yeah,
it
I
so
prefer
much.
that.
You get so fucked up if Earth was like at the center of the Milky Way.
I think we should say Pink Whitney, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it smells like Pink Whitney vodka, flavored vodka. The Milky Way universe,
Yeah.
presented by Pink Whitney vodka.
Today's universe is brought to you by our friends at...
What if Paul Bissonnette was actually God?
It'd be a good one.
He loves black holes.
True. And white ones.
Any hole. Yeah. That's a good fact, Billy. I like that. That's a nice like chaser to the shot that Arian just gave us. It's
Yeah.
like, hey,
Yeah.
everything that your brain thinks it actually doesn't matter at all. And then Billy's like, yeah,
Yeah.
but you could have a rager at the center of a galaxy. I like that. I like
a little
that.
less scary with that.
Yeah.
But also, this is like a lonely fact. Planets can wander through space without a parent star and like buddies in a galaxy, solar system. So there could just be a rogue planet just traveling without any friends.
Damn,
That's lonely.
that is very lonely. But would you know? Would you even know that you were lonely?
What if there's life? No, there couldn't be life on that planet. But it's just wandering.
Yeah. Well, not life as we know it. Chap,
Right.
we were talking about this the other day on the show. The most beautiful planets in our solar system. Who do you got? Who's your favorite planet?
Ooh.
Like hottest.
That I'd fuck?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be Saturn, right? Put a ring on it.
That was going to be mine
know?
as well.
Saturn's pretty. Yeah.
But I also think Venus could get it.
that was my choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Venus number 1.
That's kind of a basic bitch answer.
People want to say Uranus, but that's too much of an obvious answer, I think.
Yeah. What about Pluto?
Pluto's kind of a
That's
wild
freaky.
card. I think if you're
No.
playing Marry, Fuck, Kill, I think you definitely fuck Pluto.
Yeah,
Because you
once.
never know
Yeah.
what that old thing has in store for you.
I said it's a fetish.
Y'all are
Like, it's a
y'all are
little
kind
alt.
of into weird
It's
shit.
like a non-planet.
Fucking Pluto would be like putting an ice cube up your ass. Like, it's just so cold.
Are you Jupiter guy?
No, I said Saturn.
Saturn, yeah.
Ring.
That's a big basic bitch answer too.
I
But
don't
it's,
think so.
true. It's very true. It's beautiful.
It is a good looking planet. Jupiter has the red spot that looks like a vagine. Or maybe it has herpes. Maybe Jupiter has herpes.
Little storm.
Yeah. Maybe be careful.
Is
with
that
Jupiter.
storm just forever?
I think it's forever storm, yeah.
Damn. It's kind of like
Whoa.
the JFK flame of spots that you want to fuck on a planet.
Yeah. We should make a movie about Jupiter. Like a movie set on Jupiter. Enough with this Mars shit. I know it's on
Haven't we?
Mars.
I need to update what Jupiter looks like in my mind.
Because Mars, we
What
know
if-
it's got like the red
Oh,
dust
man.
everywhere. It's got some ice caps. Might have underground tunnels and water. That's cool. I think I'm already done with Mars, though. I'd like to see a movie set on Jupiter.
Mars is a neon green mouth guard guy. It's look at me.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
Jupiter kind of
teammate.
looks like a Pendleton jacket.
You know what's crazy about the International Space Station?
That it floats
It's
forever
not that
and it's huge.
Yeah, but it's not that it has zero gravity, but it actually just has 10 to 11% weaker gravity than on the Earth's surface. And it's just falling. Like the way it orbits Earth is really just, it's constantly falling off the side of Earth. And you're in free fall. And that's what gives the zero gravity type, like,
Oh, that's crazy.
Like
So it's
feeling.
it's not true zero gravity that you're
Yeah.
in. It's like when they
Yeah.
train astronauts and they put them on a plane and have the plane dive so you can simulate floating in space. That's what's happening on the International Space Station.
Like the screwdriver of an International Space Station that we'll talk about in the interview.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wait, what do they do with planes?
So NASA astronauts, and when you make like a movie about outer space, what they do is they take you up in a plane and they get really fucking high and then they dive the plane. So the plane's going down towards Earth and you start to float. It's like, have you ever been on an airplane where, you know, even like a small amount, it starts to descend for landing and it takes like a sharp descent and like you like get bumped up in your seat just a little bit, or like on a roller coaster? That's what happens on those planes. It's going down so fast that you start to float. You float out of your seat and you are experiencing zero gravity, but it's not true like outer space zero gravity.
No, it is.
Is it?
Yeah, y'all wasn't paying attention when I did theory of relativity, huh?
I was.
It's hard to
I
get,
learned
I
a lot from that
understand,
episode.
but it is. So that's what Einstein describes as his happiest thought he's ever had, which is kind of wild when you think about it. The happiest thought he ever had was he was sitting outside. He was a patent clerk, right? So he was sitting outside. He was sitting, and outside of his window there was a window washer, and he visualized the window washer falling. It's like, this is the happiest thought this thing ever had. But as he realized that when he falls, like that's what remember the guy in the box I was telling you about, where if a guy's in a box and he all of a sudden goes to the bottom, he doesn't know if he's caught in some planet's gravitational force, or if somebody has pulled a rope and accelerated him upwards, and he realized that gravity and acceleration are the same thing. And so when you fall, you are experiencing zero gravity. That's what it is. And so it's not necessarily that gravity pulls you down. It's like the Earth is pushing you up, because of space-time is warping the space around you because of the mass of the Earth. And so your natural path on Earth it wants to go to the ground. The Earth is pushing you
Right.
up. So when
Because
you're
space time is getting bent. Yeah.
Yep. So when you're falling, you are experiencing zero gravity.
Okay. So yeah, I guess it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So, but so the gravity on the International Space Station is only 10 to 11% weaker than it is on the Earth's surface,
I don't
but they're not experiencing zero gravity.
know that that's the case. I would have to.
Actually, no, I guess what you're saying is there's no such thing as zero gravity. So that's why they're not actually experiencing zero gravity on the International Space Station.
10%
'Cause
less than
everything's
on
always
Earth, or
falling.
10% of what it is on Earth?
I would imagine that has to.
And it's only 10 to 11% weaker. So I guess there's no such thing as zero gravity because there's mass, space-time all over the universe has some sort of gravity.
I mean, I technically, maybe I don't know.
This is fucking
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely again
Maybe-
not
maybe.
smart
Yeah,
enough
dude,
to
this-
comprehend
I mean,
this.
Maybe
I don't think any of us are able to comprehend the entire universe.
that's true.
Or anyone.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
So what about?
I mean, even 30 billion suns fit. You can't. There's no way to. And that's just one little aspect.
How many different objects do you think you could conceptualize in your brain? If I said, chaps, picture 100 tennis balls.
Yeah, I can do
100.
100.
You could picture
Yeah,
100.
I could do 100.
Can you picture
10 by
1,000?
10.
No.
Arian, can you picture 1,000 tennis balls?
But probably not. I probably fuck it up.
Like visualize it, Big T.
Yeah, I think so. If you have like 200 cans of 5.
Yeah,
I'm actually, but like if you're envisioning 100 and I'm just doing it by 10 by 10, I'm only envisioning 20 objects in the L shape that I'm picturing the 10 by 10.
Yeah, I just don't. The human brain isn't. I feel like 1,000 is right at that cutoff.
You
where-
certainly couldn't do 1,000,000. You
No.
certainly couldn't do
Yeah.
100,000.
No, you just need to explain it to me in terms of like how much, like how many, like Earths could fit into one sun, and then I think about that, then I get my mind blown, and then once you
That's
say
a
how many
million.
suns could fit into an area with like 30 billion suns, and I'm all fucked up.
So I had
Yeah.
My brain just quits.
Yeah.
It's
There's-
like no.
there was an astronaut that I had on mine, actually a senator now, Mark Kelly, and he came on the show, and it was during quarantine, and he was talking about how he thinks that one of the biggest effects of quarantine was children, and they were going to their education status would struggle. So in his neighborhood in Arizona, he told all the parents that were around through a Facebook group that he would teach the kids earth science during the day. Whenever he was home for like 2 hours a day, he brought all the neighborhood kids, which is fucking cool.
Mhm.
He's a guy who has an identical twin brother who didn't go to space, but he's an astronaut too. Both of them are astronauts. So they had a control of same DNA.
Yeah.
He came back an inch and a half shorter than his brother, and he told some of the stories about that on our show. But one of the things that blew my mind is that he set up just our solar system in a scale model in his neighborhood. And he took a basketball and made the basketball a sun or something like that. It was a bigger object that he made as the sun. And then he started separating it out how far away the planets are. And he started the same one in a cul-de-sac, and it was like on the edge of the cul-de-sac. And then he went out, and by the time he was at Earth, they were like 4 or 5 streets away. And he was like, if you to go to Pluto in this scale, you would have to drive 1.5 miles away.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I love that.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's so fucked up. Yeah, Pluto. I go back and forth on Pluto. I like it. It's a plucky little underdog, but should it be a planet? I don't know.
We had a crazy question about whether Mad Dog. What was the question that came up on the podcast when you guys were in Boston? And it was, should Pluto be a planet and why?
Yeah, and then you
And
were talking about like when like planets.
hypothetically, if we don't make it a planet, one day we might stake claim to all of our planets in the solar system. You know,
Yeah, and then you said that Pluto.
But then
wouldn't
if there's a
count.
rival alien civilization, they might catch us on a technicality and set up like a base on Pluto because we didn't say it was a planet.
So you think that
And we should
people are
ju-
going to come from galaxies away and then be like, hey, you didn't put your flag in Pluto. This one's ours. But the rest of them you did, so we're going to leave those alone. They control
we
the
gotta cover
entire
all our
universe
bases.
except for those 8 that we are sure about because we learned about it in 3rd
well,
grade.
let's say they want to colonize our solar system. We should ensure that we like keep Pluto like somewhere that's off limits, like Monroe Doctrine, so they can't colonize it. Like we don't want them getting off on a technicality.
First,
I don't know if Monroe Doctrine was the right one. Which is the one where the Europeans weren't allowed to colonize the Western Hemisphere?
I'm not sure. I know wasn't Monroe Doctrine Like we manifest destiny.
Mm-hmm.
We own everything in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that they wrapped a lot of like very beautiful, colorful language around the fact that they were just like, all this shit's ours now.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's right. The
that's
prevention.
indoctrinated.
Yeah, I was right. The intervention of external powers on the politics. Yeah, sweet.
The Monroe Doctrine is basically the Yoink Doctrine.
Yeah. I dibs.
I have this
Because just-
hope that one day we do like get some kind of contact with some alien civilization, and like because we put a flag on the moon, right? And like we try to explain to them why we did that, and they're just like, "What the fuck?" Like the mindset of Earth, I'm hoping does not prevail throughout the universe of like this ownership thing. Like because I was here, I own it and it's mine now. Like, I hope like that shit is not the case out there. Because if it is, fuck it.
The audacity
Yeah.
to plant a flag on the moon.
It's
Big T's like a universe.
It's
that lives.
ridiculous.
What would you do if we found another planet with like human adjacent aliens and they did the exact same shit?
Well, I was stupid too. Great, let's be stupid together. Let's fight
would
each
that
other
break your
and
spirit?
wipe each other out. Great idea. I mean, that's what we're doing anyway.
I got a question for you, Big T.
We try to take their
Is-
shit, and they try to take our shit. That's what would happen.
Big T, in your mind, is the Earth America?
What does that mean?
That's a
Like,
funny
is,
question.
Is all this shit ours?
I don't understand
Okay, how
the
about-
question.
okay,
Are you is America the predominant force in the world?
Okay, let me ask you a
Like-
different
like-
question. Is the moon America?
No, the moon is the moon.
We got there first. We put our
Well,
flag
yeah,
on.
I mean it's sick. Like the it's still up there.
Yeah, capture it, bitch.
Yeah.
If you want it, capture it.
Why don't we just write a law?
India.
If we could write a law tomorrow and be like, yeah, the moon's ours. And what are people going to do about it?
We should
No,
buy
but
it.
India was finders keepers because they were the last ones to find it.
That's not what finders keepers.
But did they
means.
land on it? If
Yeah, they
you
landed
gotta
on the-
get it off by yourself, like as a person, pull it out.
Mhm.
See, that's what I'm
Right?
saying. It's like some primitive ass like gangland activity. Like when you go to another block and you see they shit spray paint and you cross them out and then you put your shit on there. Like it's the same shit. Like we're gonna go to the moon, take our flag down, and put our flag up.
But our colors are red, white, and
Know what
blue
I'm
instead of
saying?
just blue or red.
Saying,
Yeah.
gang banging, man. Y'all be gang banging.
I think we own the moon. I think that bitch is ours.
I do too.
Court card.
I wonder what's inside the moon.
Um,
Do they know?
Cheese.
I don't,
Cheese.
I don't know what's
Wallace
inside
and
the moon.
Gromit.
I wonder if there's like oil. I wonder if you could drill
Oh my
the
god.
moon and see if there's.
Oh, if there was oil in the moon,
If there is, then it's ours.
It's ours,
then
yeah.
we own it. Then
Yeah.
I care.
Because then
Oh
you could
my
prove
God.
if there's life on the other planets. That'd be the real way, right? Organic material breaking down into something crude.
yeah, if there was oil on the moon, that would mean that things lived on the moon at one point.
And I wouldn't be surprised if lithium was there for our batteries.
Yeah, that's ours. We own
Yeah.
the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Try and stop us. You think we'll ever have a war on the moon?
The Chevy Moon. That'd
Yeah.
be sick.
Slow motion
Well-
war.
Did you see the
That'd be a
videos
great
of
place to
the?
play paintball.
Oh my god, it'd be awesome.
Pickleball.
Doing like
Did you see the
Matrix
video?
shit.
They
in
would
real
go
life.
forever, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
If you shot a paintball, I wonder how long it would take to get out of the Milky Way.
Well, all-time
Didn't
dudes,
they hit a
all-time
golf
dudes
ball?
rock moment.
Yeah, they hit a golf ball.
The astronauts brought golf clubs and golf balls to the moon to get a quick 9 in.
Now they're gonna do pickleball.
Yeah, it'll be pickleball on the moon.
Johnny Kim, the Navy SEAL, doing pickleball on the moon.
Did you see the videos of, I don't know which Apollo mission it was, but of the fails of them like falling down when they're jumping around,
The blooper
like
reel.
they would get stuck on their side and then they'd like try to right themselves. It's one of the funniest stuff like that they cut from like
That would be
they
scary.
were absolutely
actually.
helpless.
If you were on the moon and you fell over, and the thought definitely occurs to you for a second, like
I'll never get up.
I actually can't get up. I'm gonna die on the moon because I fell down.
That's one of the
But
best
you could
ways
probably
to die.
do a quick little push up, but then do you push too far?
Yeah, then you just send yourself out into space. What was that, Arian?
No.
That's one of the best ways to die on the moon.
Would you want to die on the moon?
Yes. You'd be
You said that like it was
you'd
a
be
stupid
forever
question.
known as the person who died on the moon. Like what? Infamy.
And your corpse would stay there forever. You
That-
wouldn't even rot.
Fire. Sign me up.
No, I'd want my body up there.
You're gonna die
if,
anyway, you might as well
some
die
science
infamously.
class is looking for me.
Yeah.
But would anybody know you actually died on the moon? They would just know that you went up to space and you didn't come back.
Everybody would know. Everybody would know.
Live
It's
feed through his
it's a
GoPro.
big deal when we send niggas to space, like to the moon.
True.
It's a big ass deal. So when one of them niggas didn't come back, and we left his ass on the moon, that's the biggest story in the world.
Your great grandchildren have advanced technology telescopes, and they're like, "There's Papa Arian. Look, they can look at you and
smiling.
Do you
Oh,
decay
no,
on
but
the
wait,
moon?
if you don't-
You wouldn't decay, right?
No, I don't think so. I think like they
Because
said
the flag's still in perfect condition.
the footprints are still there too, because there's
Right.
No
there's
wind,
nothing to
no
erode
solar
it.
wind.
Yeah.
So you
Well, if you
wouldn't
don't
decay.
age,
You wouldn't
You
decay.
get hungry,
No,
dehydration.
I think maybe if there was a leak in your spacesuit, maybe that you might implode. I don't know how that works, but I think if you were in a contained spacesuit, like a sealed spacesuit, I'm pretty sure you would just chill up there forever.
Okay, this is fire. I looked this up. So they're saying that they could you use pulses of laser light to shoot data across the vast distance between the Earth and our satellite. So they're saying that they could possibly get internet on the moon.
Oh my
Wouldn't
god,
that be fire to go live on the moon?
Dude, that'd be
You would break all. You'd have so many YouTube subscribers.
That would be the
your TikTok would
highest
go crazy
stream
wild.
live of all time. It would have to be.
Oh
On-
yeah,
you
on
podcast on the
On
moon.
Instagram, yeah.
Yeah.
it would make that one celebrity post from the Oscars where they all did the selfie. It would blow that one out of the water.
Yeah.
Ellen. Yeah.
Damn, that'd be sick.
Dude, R.I.P. Ellen.
Yeah,
She didn't die.
basically
Yeah, she's dead to me.
Yeah.
socially dead.
Well, what happened to
I-
Ellen? What happened with Ellen?
Oh, she's just I almost said the B word.
You did.
Wow.
You
She's a B word.
but it applies.
Yeah.
Why? What happened?
Everyone that works for her hates her. She
Yeah.
treats her staff like shit.
She was like a big dick.
Really?
Yeah.
Ironically. Wow. I didn't know that, man. She looks like such a sweetheart. That sucks.
Yeah, but then we found out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know my favorite astronaut story of all time?
I don't. Tell me.
It involves diapers.
Okay.
You guys still don't know?
I'm in.
Wait,
I'm in. Tell me.
I have one that's diaper adjacent too.
Okay, so in 2007, there was an astronaut. Her name was Lisa Novak. Lisa Nowak. It's with a W. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I'm gonna call her Novak. Lisa Novak, and she started dating or started having an affair with another astronaut that was in training with her, and his name was William Opheline. I think that's right, William Opheline. So they trained together. They didn't go to space together, but they trained together. They had an affair, and so they started seeing each other in 2004. This is before she went up to outer space. And then in 2005, Opheline divorced his wife. And then in 2007, Novak divorced her husband, who she'd been married to for 19 years. So they had this affair. The understanding was they were going to break up with their significant others and be together. Now, Opheline had to break some news to her right after she got a divorce that he wasn't interested in continuing this relationship with her. Instead, he was starting to have a relationship with an Air Force captain, Colleen Shipman. And then Opheline had to call up Novak and let her down, be like, hey, I know we had this space affair when we were both at NASA together, but I'm seeing somebody else, so we can't be together. And then Lisa Novak left Houston, got into her car, bought diapers, wore diapers so that she could drive 900 miles without stopping to see him, try to convince him to be with her instead, and also to confront the new woman that he was then seeing. So she put on diapers, drove across the entire country, pissed and shit all over herself, and then found her in an airport parking lot. So she started stalking this guy. And she spent a couple hours.
Hold on. Why didn't she just fly?
Because I don't know. That's a good question. I think she was just like, I gotta fucking go.
Well, it was she paid all of her gas in cash. It was so that she could be undetected.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember that detail from the story.
All right. So she didn't want to get on. Maybe she was afraid of heights.
Yo,
The astronaut
call somebody,
didn't
like
wanna
buy a
fly.
plane ticket for me, and I'll pay you back. This is a crazy shit.
Well, you still ID.
I'm not
So she,
shitting on myself for love.
she got to the airport, and she was going to confront the woman, Colleen Shipman, but Shipman had to spend like a couple hours waiting for her luggage because it was delayed. That's an all-time luggage delay. It's like 2 hours. And then Novak was wearing a wig and a trench coat. and got on the
like
same
the little rascals.
yeah, got on the same shuttle bus to the parking lot in disguise with a wig. By the way, if you're wearing a wig and a trench coat, you're not blending in like you think you
No.
are. Everyone's like, this person's up to no good.
This person's wearing a wig and a trench coat.
Yeah.
What do they got going on?
So
The Google Incognito logo.
yeah, exactly. So Shipman saw this lady Novak on the bus with her and was like, "What the fuck is this psycho doing? I don't know who she is, but that's not good that I'm sharing a bus ride with her."
And she smelled
And
like
so then-
shit.
And she probably smelled like shit, all diped up. And then Novak got off the shuttle, sprinted to her car, and then Novak sprinted after her, being like, "Hey, my boyfriend's not here. I need a ride." And then Shipman pepper sprayed her and maced her. And then the police arrested Novak. They found hundreds of dollars in cash, printouts of personal emails between Ophaline and Shipman, pepper spray, a knife, rubber tubing, gloves, a BB gun,
Oh shit.
a mallet, and a computer disc that held images of bondage scenes in Novak's
She
belongings.
was
Her
about
car
to kidnap her.
Yeah, she was. Her car reportedly also contained diapers. Novak's attorney would later claim they were toddler diapers, which is not true. And then they found out. And then they found out that who this was, and they arrested her. She got in big trouble because she was definitely planning on kidnapping and killing her.
Oh yeah.
That's textbook stuff that you would put in your car.
Mm-hmm.
Rubber tubing, a knife. Yeah.
I was doing some research on some other former astronauts. A lot of them kind of end up a little kooky.
Is there something
And
about
I don't know if
space?
it has to do. Say again?
Is there something about space, or maybe their human brain has to start to comprehend the mysteries of the universe? It drives them insane.
Yeah, because there's some
That
a
makes
couple
sense.
of astronauts who said some pretty wild stuff.
What?
Like a lot of them, like Brian O'Leary's this one guy who went on record saying that like humanity has contact with alien beings, and we have for thousands of years, and they use conscious altering technology to control us. And then this other dude, Al Warden, went on live TV and started going off about how, like aliens, that humans are the aliens, and that you need to research ancient Sumerian texts to read about the Anunnaki, who are actually
Ooh, the
gods
Anunnaki.
who were gods who crossbred with like native earthlings and created humanity, and it's the like origin of all religions. There's a lot of stuff, like a lot of these guys go off the rails, and girls, as we see. Like I think maybe like that's like really the pinnacle of places to be, and I guess it's a big come down, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, it probably is.
They're
Like
just people though. Like
but you work your entire professional career to get to outer space, and you're like, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be an astronaut. That means I get to go to space, and then you do your space flight, and then you're not ever going back to outer space, and you're probably bummed out that you have to spend the rest of your life on Earth.
what's that? I mean, it's also like this like astronauts is a very small sample size. But like if you were to like, I don't know, do plumbers and see what plumbers think. After a while, you can find a couple plumbers that are like, that's a kooky profession. You know what I mean? Like, it's just people. People go off the road. Like, people believe wild shit. Unfiltered internet.
But highly
access.
educated people like that, I think it's a little more surprising with somebody that has the intellectual capabilities and the education to be an astronaut. You would think that they wouldn't have that evolution didn't actually happen.
Well, if you were a plumber
Also, the
and you
mental
found, like,
health.
the biggest clog of all time, you're like, I can't go back to plumbing anymore. Like, I've seen
too much.
I've seen the mothership. Like, it's not getting any better than that. That was a huge
I've
shit.
shown the biggest plumber's crack, and I can't go back.
Yeah.
My favorite astronaut diaper adjacent story is still whenever they were going to send Sally Ride to space with 100 tampons for a week.
Yeah. you never know, chaps.
Yeah. 100 seems to be too many.
That does. I did some research also into the Anunnaki. I'm glad that you brought that up, Billy.
Oh, the Anunnaki?
Anunnaki, excuse me. So I've heard Anunnaki, but Anunnaki, let's go either.
Well, I think that it depends on the pronunciation of the ancient Sumerian.
I've heard Anunnaki, and according to ancient Sanskrit texts, Sumerian texts, the Earth was populated by people called the Anunnaki 450,000 years ago. they had a leader. They had a leader that left Nibiru, the mystery planet that I'll get into in a second here,
Mhm.
and it went out looking for gold. Right, so the leader was exploring the universe, trying to find riches untold, and not unlike Earth exploration from not too long ago in our not so distant past. So this dude went out across the universe to try to find gold, found the Earth, found gold, and he was like, "Well, it's kind of labor intensive for me to actually mine all this gold myself. I didn't come here and bring all my tools. Instead, how about I take these humans, and they look like they might be like a developing species here, and I will genetically alter them and enslave them, and I'll have them mine all the gold for me. And then once my planet comes back around in the next, I don't know, 150, 200,000 years, then they'll have mined all the gold for me, and I'll just take all the gold for myself. I'll let them do it for me." So this is allegedly based on ancient Sumerian texts, which are probably being wildly misinterpreted, or it could have just been like some dude got high, drank some grape juice that had been out in the sun for a couple weeks, and he's like, "This is a cool story." It might be fiction that he was writing, and that always blows my mind to think about too, where like 300 years, or not, probably not 300 years, but like 2,000, 3,000 years in the future, somebody's going to go back and watch like The Dark Knight and be like, they used to play games on a football field, and at one point, Hines Ward was returning a kickoff, and the entire football field fell apart as he scored a touchdown.
You're right.
and they'll interpret that as being like something real that happened, even though.
And then they're like, but Hines Ward was a real person. We have other texts that show he was a real person.
Yeah,
Here he is
exactly.
on
And that
video.
explains Jesus's miracles.
Yeah, here's a primary source of Bill Cowher talking about his great downfield blocking ability. He's a real guy. But yeah,
I'm so glad you brought the Anunnaki up, because it's one of those conspiracies
brought it
that
up.
I read.
You brought it up. Billy.
No. Well, I brought it up like separately, but now that PFT really wants to get into it, it's one of the ones that I read for pleasure and entertainment in my free time.
okay.
That's very hilarious.
So what else do you know about those people, Billy?
Saddam might have been holding them in Iraq, and that's why we went to Iraq, which is a crazy historical fiction.
So is
that
this
we want
different
to
from when you
discuss.
said that Saddam Hussein had a Stargate to like a different dimension, and that's why we invaded her? Saddam Hussein really had it all. It sounds like in Billy's mind, like he was the one guy that had everything.
They had all that except for an Air Force.
yeah.
Chaps, did you encounter any Stargates?
No, but I do know that people, I would think you would have a better argument with the Giants of Kandahar than you would with the others.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been an Anunnaki.
Could
Some
be.
are saying.
So Nibiru is the planet that's alleged by, I was about to say many, but some, by some people. It's also known as Planet X, and theories differ whether it's an actual planet or not. In the lore of the Anunnaki, it is a planet that they were all from, and it makes an elliptical trip around Earth, and they'll be back here eventually to collect all their gold from us. But a lot of other people think Planet X is the Doomsday Planet. So in that line of thinking, Planet X might not be a planet. It might be a brown dwarf star, a star that's burned out. And so it's made basically of like dark metal. And that would explain why you couldn't see it. It's hard to detect. And it's massive because a lot of solar systems out in the universe.
How many suns are we talking about?
Are binary. What do you mean? How many suns is it?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know if I wrote down how many suns it was. Probably, it's 10 times the mass of Earth.
Okay.
So smaller than our sun.
Yeah.
And some people think that it's a brown dwarf star, like a former star that burned out, like our sun will eventually. That's also mind-boggling to think about. But a lot of solar systems across the universe they have binary stars, so they've got two suns in the same solar system. This would be like the older or the less efficient, the rascal brother of our sun, and then this one burned out really quickly, and it's just kind of floating around in space. And some people think that this planet, or this hunk of metal, this brown dwarf star, comes back around Earth on like an elliptical basis, and it was last here in 160 BC, and it comes around every 3,600 years. and it could be hiding out there in the Kuiper Belt or the Kuiper Belt. I don't know how you pronounce it. Kuiper Belt.
I'm not sure.
And it might just not be visible to us. But when it comes back, it fucks up all our gravitational pull when it passes by Earth. So the water from the ocean will like flood onto land. There'll be famine. People explain that this is what all the biblical floods were about. That was the last time that Planet X was around and the entire Earth got flooded. And so when it comes back around, it messes up all the gravity. It shifts the poles on Earth, and it basically wipes out humanity. So humanity gets these cyclical extinctions, like with the dinosaurs. That's actually caused by Planet X. That comes back around, just fucks everything up.
That's the theory behind the pyramids too, right? Like that people were doing that.
Yep, that like way back in the day, we had an advanced civilization, and then this planet came by, fucked everything up. But yeah, it's probably not true. I'm gonna go on a limb and say it's not true. There've been a couple of times that
Are you sure they may have built the pyramids too?
It's true. People have predicted Planet X's return repeatedly, and they're always wrong about it. So people thought it was going to happen on, what was it, December 12th, 2012? Was that the day that the Mayan calendar reset? And so everyone thought that this was going to be doomsday. People predicted it to happen then. They predicted it back in like 2002. There's this one woman that claims that she talks to the Abenaki, and she was chosen by them to receive brain transmissions to warn planet Earth that this thing's coming back. I think her name was Susan, and they asked her how she could be sure that she was communicating with aliens, and she said, well, I asked them for a sign one day, and I was opening up a pack of Starburst, and one of the Starbursts didn't have a wrapper on it. So checkmate.
Hard to argue.
According to Susan. So then she went on K-Rock, which is like the biggest radio station in the United States out in Los Angeles, and they interviewed her on that, and she was warning people about this impending Planet X that was coming by, and she was telling people, go out and euthanize your dogs because they're going to die horrible deaths.
Okay, yeah.
Prepare yourself in bunkers.
Talk that shit, Susan. I'm with her now.
And they asked her, like, what have you done to your own pets? And she's like, yeah, I put them down because the planet's coming back.
Let's go.
Which is really, really fucked up and
Let's
sad.
go.
That she said
Wave
that.
people
The dogs are like, we're doing what now? Like,
Yeah.
Do you think you should go to jail for that?
For euthanizing your dog because you think that Planet X is coming back?
I think you should go to jail for
I
that.
think probably, yeah.
I think you legally can do a veterinarian euthanasia for any reason.
You cannot.
Is that true?
It's absolutely not true. You can't
Okay.
do that.
I lied. Because but like if the vet says it's okay, it can happen?
The vet has to, it's the same kind, I mean, not as much as people, but the veterinarian has to be reasonably sure that the dog will not have incredible amounts of pain and suffering. But if you bring your dog and be like, hey, put this down, like they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if there's a planet that's going to come, it's going to cause famine. She's well within reason to want to put her dog down.
So why can people euthanize dogs with behavioral issues?
Well, behavioral
Outside
issues.
of
Commander?
Well, you don't. Like, there's a vet that puts it down for behavioral issues that's not violent, that is a violation of the ethics. There is like civil codes and city codes and state codes that says if it's a dog that is not homed and they are caught, like a shelter situation, then those dogs can be euthanized for population control. But the individual dog that is a pet that has the ability to pet, they won't do that. Shouldn't do it. It's an ethical violation.
What if a dog kills a human? Can we put him down?
Done. That dog's getting put down for sure.
Okay.
Commander
Like
not being
reactionary
put down
dogs.
is crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
Hypocrisy.
The commander just gets to hang out and bite 11 people, and these other dogs, the owners,
Yo,
like,
Get one.
hey, you guys are gonna die anyways, and they're like, oh, we'll
Who
put
do
them
you
down.
think? Do you think Hunter or Commander's gotten away with more equivalency, dog per human?
I would say Commander, because Hunter hasn't been violent, right?
I don't think so. I mean, he's displayed handguns while smoking crack, but I don't think he's ever used a handgun in commission of a
That's the
crime.
equivalent of a dog showing
Thank
its teeth.
goodness, right? Thank goodness he hasn't done anything bad.
That's all bark, no bite.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's like a dog
Doing
shitting.
crack and displaying handguns.
It's like shitting in the house occasionally. That's what Hunter's been. Commander is like, yeah, if Hunter was like a serial killer.
Where are we at with the laptop store? Are we still, have we found it? Is there shit on it? Like what's going on with the laptop?
I think they're just slowly trickling out more. They've got an endless supply of pictures of Hunter Biden smoking crack, and they just like drop one every month.
I like that he does crack. I mean,
I would
'cause
argue.
it's
Hold
great,
on,
right?
I want to hear
Like,
this from Chad.
you could do
Go on.
weed.
We need more people smoking crack.
I totally agree. Like you would MDMA, people do that. You go to a party and you're smoking crack. That's a good ass party.
I would argue that he's the leading crack influencer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
He's
know
the
how you
Dana
get to the
Beers of
point where
crack.
you're like, I'm gonna try crack. Like crack and meth. Like, have you not seen Faces of Meth?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Crack, have you not met somebody that's a crackhead?
I mean,
It must be that good.
No, it's got to be great. I would tell people all the time, like heroin, crack. It's got to be amazing. People throw their lives away just to go get another bump. So it's like it's got to be amazing. Like I'm not going to try it.
Fentanyl's like zombie cities.
Mm-hmm.
She got to be amazing.
It's pretty insane that they have kids microdose meth, basically.
You're
Are you
talking about
talking
You have
about
educational
Vyvanse?
professions. Yeah. Like here, microdose some meth. Make the evil spirits in your blood go away.
What is this you're referring to? I'm not
Like Adderall.
Yeah, Adderall and Vyvanse are amphetamines. Not
Yeah.
methamphetamines, but just amphetamines.
I was having a conversation.
But you will, like when you get popped on a piss test for Vyvanse for sure. Comes back as amphetamines.
I was talking to my homegirl she about to go under the knife, and she was saying like she's all nervous and shit, and I was like, yo, that 3 minutes when they give you the drip. I don't know if y'all ever had surgery before they put you down on the anesthesia, they give you something to put you to sleep. But that 3 minutes when it hits you and you about to go to sleep, it's one of the greatest feelings that there is. Like
warm.
It feels it's just it's euphoria, and it's like it's heroin, and it's like a very small dosage of heroin. So it's like I can only imagine what real heroin. It must feel fucking amazing because that shit crazy.
But that arm thing where they're like your arm's gonna feel weird, that sucks.
Oh, when you can
Where
feel the
it
medicine
feels like
going
they're-
through.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the
like
morphine
the-
mostly. Like the morphine, that's post-op. Post-op, they give you morphine in your veins, and like you can feel that shit coursing through. Yeah, you can feel it moving, but then afterwards you feel great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just talking about right before you go under when they hit you with the hot stuff and like your whole arm feels like you have lava in your veins. That
I
sucks.
never felt that. It just
Yeah, I
feels
didn't feel
like
I think
a
that was-
dose of happiness. They just shoot you with thousands of droplets of happiness, and it's amazing.
Arian, have you ever had a nerve block where they have to find your nerve and then they inject something into it?
Yeah.
They use this little instrument and they keep poking you with it until your arm just like
Hot.
makes this crazy
Yeah.
involuntary spasm.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, that's the nerve. We're gonna shoot something into
Yeah,
it.
that was recent actually. I had when I first started playing golf, like it was last year. Like when I was first, I was gripping like way too tight. Like I was gripping hard, and so my left, I started getting like carpal tunnel or whatever the fuck. I started feeling like numbness in my hands, like when I wasn't playing, and so they had to do that. They stuck a needle in, they did all that shit, and they injected it with like I think it was steroids, and this shit went away. And then he was like, "You gripping too hard," and then I got a little coaching and realized I was gripping too hard.
All right. Do we have anything else we want to get to about space, or we good?
Space farts.
Oh yeah, you had a fart thing you want to talk about, and then we've got the interview with Jose Hernandez coming up.
Yeah, so we were talking a little bit about space farts because it's got to happen. Like you'll hear in the interview talking about tacos. If you're eating tacos and beans, dehydrated or not, you're going to be letting off some farts.
Yep.
And we thought maybe you get pink eye all the time. What happens to it? And or if it even happens, I found it on Space Facts. There's a website, Space Facts, and it says astronauts can fart in space. In fact, they fart a lot more. And the reason why they say that it does it is because on Earth, your food drops down because of gravity. There, it doesn't. It moves up. So the gas is on the bottom. And instead of being released like it normally would be whenever you poop, it's still there. So the poop is up high and the fart is down low, and that's what gets pushed out first.
So everyone's farting up there.
Yeah, they said it's farting, and they have like a special area that they're supposed to go to if they fart, and that there's filters on the back of their spacesuits and the things that they wear in case they're farting too much,
So you
because
don't
the smell doesn't go away.
Yeah.
They said that if they brought it back, it's not as strong whenever you're inside because gravity affects smell too. But if you brought back mirror, that it would just smell like a big old fart box, like the worst Dutch oven of all time.
Damn, I didn't know that. I love the fart room. I love the concept of a fart room.
Wait, isn't that harmful though? Like if you was to inhale gas.
They said that there's certain ways that they're nervous about the amount of gases in the air from people farting, that they are careful about open flames, like how close they are. And they'll sometimes ask people if they're super gassy before they do it.
That's crazy.
I wonder if you could get high on farts if there's so much fart in the air that has like an effect on your blood oxygen.
Yeah, it says the likelihood of worsening a small fire is higher when you fart in space, and it even can be fatal.
You know, it's crazy because like
how'd he die? He farted in space.
That's the funny part about it. Is like these are like the most brilliant minds in the country and in the world. They're working on the most high complex problems in the world, and they have to factor in like the flatulence of the inhabitants of the ISS. That's just hilarious to sit around seeing these geniuses sit around a table thinking about, okay, Doug, like we got to account for this. It's silly. We have to
designing an air
That's
filter
hilarious.
specifically for the farts.
We've got a fart problem.
Yeah.
They probably didn't know that until they got to space for the first time.
Like, whoo.
Yeah, and they came back in their debrief.
Buzz Aldrin looks like he fucking farts.
Oh yeah, big time. They isolated each one of those guys probably, and they were like, so in terms of feedback, what feedback would you give us as NASA? Be like, we're farting up there a lot, man. We're farting. The fart scene's pretty bad.
We'd be farting up there.
Yeah, so they had to like go back for Apollo 12 and like re-engineer some shit to take on the fart issue. All right, well that's farting and that's space, and here is Astronaut Jose Hernandez, and you can find him in the movie A Million Miles Away. It's about his life, and he actually plays a small part in that movie too. But it's a true story about his life. Fascinating guy, Astronaut Jose Hernandez, great guest. Here he is. All right, we welcome on a very special guest, Astronaut. I think the first astronaut to appear on this program, Jose Hernandez. You can see the movie based on his life, A Million Miles Away. It's on Amazon, right? Amazon Prime. You can watch on Prime Video.
Prime Video, yes, sir.
Prime Video, great. So very much looking forward to checking that out. So yeah, you have lived an incredible life, and I appreciate you joining our show to talk to us here. I guess let's start with the movie. When you saw the movie that was based on your life, did you feel like it did a good job portraying the trials, tribulations, and successes that you've had?
Absolutely. First of all, let me tell you I'm very happy to be here with you guys. And absolutely the story, I was involved in every process of the creation of the movie, everything from the giving my feedback on the various iterations of the script to casting. And then when they were filming, I also served as a technical expert during the filming process. So it reflects pretty well what happened in my life. There were a few liberties taken where they combined characters to save time and switched around time frames a little bit. But other than that, the whole big message of persevering and hard work, all that is true, including everything that happened with my second grade teacher in terms of being present at my lunch.
That's great. Yeah. So the story goes, and it is your life. You grew up as a migrant worker. You were helping your family. You were picking grapes in California, and you had a teacher that saw something.
That's correct.
Yeah, and she thought, this guy is destined for something incredible. We need to make sure that he can focus, that he has enough time to concentrate on his studies, because he's got some abilities that, maybe not that common in your average second grader. And my favorite part of the story, you traded in your 1963 Chevy Impala because you wanted to fit in better. You didn't want to stand out. Have you gone back and purchased another 1963 Chevy Impala now that you don't have to worry about fitting in?
Yeah, mine was actually a 64 Chevy 327 Super Sport. And I did not trade it in. That was another subtle change there. I actually let one of my uncles, who was down and out on his luck, and he liked to drink a little bit, and he totaled it.
Oh no!
So I lost it because my uncle totaled it. Luckily, he didn't get hurt, but my car was totaled, and so I lost it from that perspective. And I'm actually negotiating with Amazon to get that 63 into my hands, and so hopefully we'll be successful in being able to achieve that. But you're right, is that I grew up as a migrant farm worker. We used to spend 9 months in California, 3 months back in my parents' hometown of Mexico. There's 4 of us. I'm the youngest of 4, and because we moved around so much, I didn't become proficient in the English language until the age of 12 because Spanish was the predominant language that we spoke. And I'm not sure you characterized myself as well in terms of saying I was brilliant as a second grader. I think my refuge was math. So 2 + 3 was 5 in any language. So I kind of gravitated towards that. Miss Young, my second grade teacher, noticed that. And then she went to our house and convinced my parents that we needed to stay in one place. And so that's when we made Northern California, Stockton, California, our home. And that's when our education started to get traction.
And when did you develop an interest in becoming an astronaut? When did that occur to you where it's like, hey, this is actually a possibility that I can do this?
Oh, that happened when I was 10 years old. I think like 3 years down the line in Stockton. It was a cold December evening when I saw the very last Apollo mission, Apollo 17, and I saw Gene Cernan walk on the surface of the moon. I would go outside. That's why I know it was cold. And see the moon, come back inside and hear and see astronaut Cernan talk to Mission Control Houston. And I was mesmerized. I said, man, that's what I want to be. Of course, it was the same time that Star Trek, the TV series, the original one, was running, first run on TV, Lost in Space, all these programs. And that coupled with the Apollo program, I think that sort of generated that interest in me in wanting to become an astronaut. And so since I was 10 years old, I said, I'm going to be an astronaut.
That's incredible. And I know that the guys have maybe some questions, hopefully, that you haven't gotten before. But I have one last question. It's kind of serious about sure. Traveling to outer space for the first time, because I think it was William Shatner when he went into I don't know if it was technically outer space. You know,
yeah, he did. He crossed the Kármán line. You crossed the Kármán line 70 miles above, and you're in space. You're a bona fide astronaut, man. So he's an astronaut.
That's awesome. So when he went to space, he described looking back down on Earth for the first time as he didn't see it as being a beautiful sight. He experienced like a profound sense of grief that he was so far away from everybody that looking back on Earth, he felt completely disassociated with everything that he loved, everybody that he loved. And it was an amazing, intense feeling for him, but he didn't describe it necessarily as the happiest feeling that he's ever had. When you look back at Earth from space for the first time, what was the feeling that you got inside your body?
Okay. First, let me say that if William Shatner felt like that, he went up and he only stayed up in space for about 3.5 minutes and then came back down. Okay. I went up there 14 days, circumnavigated the Earth 217 times. And if he felt that way, crazy. I'm so glad he was not on my 14-day mission to space, because then we would have had to babysit him a lot, or counsel him and tell him everything was going to be all right. But no, dude. I mean, it's you prepare yourself your whole life for this, And let me just tell you how the launch is. You get strapped into that exploding bomb, because that's what it is. It's a bomb that's exploding in a controlled fashion that takes you to space in 8.5 minutes. You go from 0 to 17,500 miles an hour in 8.5 minutes. And I'll tell you, it's the best e-ticket ride Disneyland could ever hope for, because from 0 to 17,500, think about that, in 8.5 minutes. And now once you get up there and the pressure builds and builds and builds, it feels like 3 people are standing on your chest with the G-forces ultimately. And then you reach what's called MECO, main engine cutoff, and that big 500-pound gorilla disappears. That's on your chest, because now you're not accelerating. Now you're going at a constant speed around the world, 17,500 miles an hour. And then you unbuckle your seatbelt and you start floating up. And man, you know, it's kind of like, you can't believe it, because it's like you're defying the laws of physics. You're defying the laws of physics as we know them here on Earth, because you're up in space, because now you're floating. You feel like a superhero. You know, and I remember I pushed myself against the wall of the cabin there to go to the window, did my best Superman impersonation, because you do feel like a superhero. And then you look at the Earth and you say, man, this is so beautiful. I certainly did not feel detached or alone. I just felt, I said, wow, I'm one of less than 600 people who's had the privilege of seeing our Earth from the outside. You know, one window to our civilization, our beautiful blue planet, and the other window was to the universe. And so I felt like a blessed man, like I was the luckiest man. I still get chills when I think about it, because you just never get tired of that view. I think I had the best office view anyone could ever hope for.
And
That's
you
incredible.
and you waited a long time to get that view. I remember I was reading about you that you applied 12 times to NASA and you didn't get accepted until you were 42 years old. And I found it fascinating that once you did finally become that astronaut, one, I'm 41 years old. I can't imagine taking on something like that at my age. I just can't. But I found it fascinating too that when you got to space for the first time, you got tacos, and that was the first meal that you wanted to have was tacos. I'm a San Antonio guy and recently moved up here. I can't find a good taco. How was the space taco?
Oh, you know, the thing is that in space, we don't take bread, because if you take bread creates crumb clouds, you know, and so that could get into your eyes or the electronics. So the nutrition people do not give us bread. That being said, as a staple, they add tortillas. It wasn't because of me. It wasn't because I said, oh, he wants to. No, they had been doing that for many missions, taking up tortillas. And so the type of food we eat is kind of like the dehydrated food, kind of like camping food. And I remember we had, for breakfast, we have these powdered eggs. You add water and, you know, they become scrambled eggs. You heat them up. And then we have some hot sauce. And so you heat up a tortilla, you put it in there, you put your hot sauce, and you go to town with them, and you got instant breakfast burritos. And I love them. I mean, I try to eat that until we ran out of them. And then, of course, you got to move on to the other stuff. But yeah, I had my breakfast burritos in space.
It's great.
I was gonna say, was there any kind of meals that you didn't like? You know what I mean? Like, was there anything you was like, man, we having that again? Like, what was it?
Yeah. You know, what happens is when you go up into space, before you go up in space, you go to the nutrition lab. They call it a lab. And that day, you taste about 110 different plates, you know, the vegetables, the main entrees, the desserts, and you taste and you grade them from 1 to 5. You know, 5, you really love it. 1, you don't care for it, kind of like broccoli and stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. And so once you do that, the nutritionist then designs a meal plan for each astronaut. And each astronaut has a color. Like I'm mission specialist 2, flight engineer. I was the green dot. So any package of food in our pantry that had a green dot was mine. The commander was red. And you don't dare take a red dot if you're not the commander, because then you're gonna experience the wrath of the commander. So you don't want to do that. You could steal from each other, but never from the commander, right? And so I remember I used to eat some stuff, and I would open some of the like broccoli with cheese and all these kind of cauliflower, all that kind of, and I would eat it, and I said, man, I could have swore I gave this not a 1, I gave it a 0. Sure it doesn't make it, but the nutritionists have to do their job and give you a balanced diet. So there were some foods that I didn't care for. And some of it was like the cauliflower and the broccoli and that type of stuff.
My man, don't
When
like
you
his
came
vegetables.
back-
Don't eat your
Oh, sorry.
vegetables, kids. You heard the astronaut.
It was dehydrated. If it was fresh, it would have been okay, because I do like broccoli. It's just so weird because it's dehydrated. You add water to it, it rehydrates, but it's not the same as a fresh piece of broccoli.
I got a question, man. So you're an astronaut, right? What do y'all do up there? Like, when you say we went on a mission, like, what was your mission? What was your specific mission? Because, like, what is there to do in space? Like, what do you do?
Oh man. Well, first of all, you go up on a ship, the Space Shuttle, okay, and you dock to a orbiting laboratory we call the International Space Station. We built this sucker up piece by piece, module by module, and it's pretty big now. And it was 16 countries, including Russia. Russia built about 1/3 of it. The rest of the world, including the US, built the other 2/3. And it's an orbiting satellite, basically around the world. It does Earth observation, lots of experiments. And what we did is we were the second to last mission to finish construction of the station. So we took up 7 tons of equipment to the station in the Space Shuttle, in the payload bay. And then once we docked to the station, then we unload most of that equipment that we installed inside. We were kind of like the move-in guys. We were installing equipment racks, scientific equipment racks. We built a treadmill for exercise. And then we had EVAs, extravehicular activities, where my colleagues in groups of 2 went outside to do spacewalks, installed antenna arrays, installed cameras and ammonia tank assemblies for cooling. And they did a bunch of housekeeping stuff that they had to do. And then with respect to the experiments, we had a lot of experiments that we did. We wanted to study how materials age in the vacuum of space. So we had a materials platform where we set it up, and then we take it outside and leave it for months on end, and then study the materials, send it back to Earth for studying, see if they became brittle or cosmic radiation damages them, and those type of things that we do. We do bone density studies. For example, we took mice up into space, and the mice, we leave them up for different periods of time, because we found out that we lose 1% of our bone density mass for every month we're up there. And then when we come back to Earth, it recombines and you get the density back. But the structure is a little different. So the question that begs to be asked is, okay, we got our density back. Are our bones as strong or stronger than they were before? And so the only way we can find this out, unfortunately, is we got to sacrifice some mice. We take them up there, and we have a control group. We leave them 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. We bring them back. We let the bone density recombine, and unfortunately, we have to destroy them so we can test the bone strength and all. But those are all experiments that university professors do and all that. We're kind of just like the experiment monkeys. We do the experiment, and and then they go and digest the results and write their papers and so on and so forth. So, but we did lots of experiments.
Has Peter caught wind of this mice deconstruction?
Could you feel the difference in gravity whenever you returned?
When I returned, do you feel that? Yeah, you have this 1G adaptation process. Your balance system here on Earth is basically controlled through your inner ear. You have this cavity with some hair follicles, and that's what keeps your balance with this fluid. Well, when you're up in space, this fluid is floating around in the cavity. These follicles are uncalibrated. And when you come back, it's like you don't have a good sense of balance. It's kind of like the feeling I would like to equate it to is, imagine you're on a boat with 12-foot waves for about 10 hours. And then all of a sudden, you're back on dock. Even though you're on terra firma, you still feel like you're in the ocean. You still feel those waves.
You lose your Earth legs.
Yeah. And so that's how it feels when you come home from space. You kind of like, whoa, this feels like I just got off a boat. And then little by little, your inner ear gets recalibrated. And after about 24 hours, you're good to go. You don't have a balance problem. But they don't recommend you drive in the next 24 hours. Do any type of strenuous exercise or anything.
So being one of the only people who's experienced that weightlessness that described, I know on the International Space Station it's technically not zero gravity, but what everyday actions like sleeping, moving, just basically functioning did that people don't really think about because they've never been in zero gravity. Like what were some things that surprised you?
Well, let's see. There's several things. The first one was doing the simplest things on Earth are typically the hardest to do up there. For example, I remember we trained to change the cabin air filter. It has 4 screws. You get a Phillips and you loosen it up, right? You go to the righty loosey and then lefty tighty kind of thing, and so we practiced that ad nauseum in our training. And I remember when we got up there, I was the first one that had to change cabin air filter right away. Once we arrive up there, it says my first activity, cabin air filter. And so I go up, I'm floating now. I go to the toolbox, and just like training, there's a Phillips screwdriver Velcroed. So you grab it, Velcro's your buddy up there because everything floats. And so you float. Now you're on top of the panel and you see the 4 screws, just like training. Okay, I'm going to loosen all 4 of them, remove the filter and put the new one on. So I'm floating, I'm right on top of it. And I put the screwdriver on the first screw and I turn. And guess what's happened?
You turn.
Second law of motion. For every reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So I turned. And I looked around because I was embarrassed as hell. I said, man, I hope my buddies don't, because I said, now I had this conundrum. I said, how the hell am I going to loosen this screw up? And then I looked at what was the floor in our training module, because there is no floor now because you're floating, but I saw there was some gray tape there. I said, I wonder what this is. And I removed it, and there were some foot loops. And so you slip your feet in, you anchor yourself, and you undo the screw. That's how you do it. But they don't teach you that. And I remember
that's shocking that they don't teach you that.
I said, I remember I told myself, mental note, I'm going to rip a new one to this trainer who didn't mention this, because I don't even remember seeing the loops in the 1G trainer where we trained at. And sure enough, we came home. First thing I did, I went to that trainer, and guess what? The loops were there with that tape there. And I said, well, I'm still going to tell them because they have to train us for this. And then we get in our brief with our trainers. And of course comes the question, is there anything we can do better to make your guys' job easier in space? And so I quickly said, well, here I am going to embarrass them. And I said, yeah, well, that cabin air filter and all that. I said, yeah, it says, you guys don't give us the full information about the foot loops. And then they just start laughing. They said, yeah, we assign this to the rookie every time and we get them all the time. So it was kind of like a coming of age.
You got to figure it out for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. Big T, you got any questions?
Yeah, so you ran for Congress. I was just curious, what is more stressful, training to become an astronaut and going to space, or trying to get into politics?
I think the right questions you should ask is which one's more distasteful. And it's definitely running for Congress. When you become an astronaut and everything, you try to become an astronaut, it's very hard. And you're in control though. You're training, you're trying to get yourself to be selected. So you're improving yourself, you're working hard, and eventually it pays off. In politics, unfortunately, you got some numbnuts out there that make your life difficult and basically make it impossible for good people to get elected into office. And this is why I totally understand why we don't have good people in office. Because you got all these numbnuts vying to be in office, and they do anything. They have no morals, no values. They do anything and say anything to get elected. And so I said, unless I become one of them, that's the only way I can be successful in this arena. And so I chose to say, enough's enough. I'm going to go back and do what I have control over, and that is my own life.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Don't blame me at all. I am not a tall man. I'm 5'8" on a good day. Well, 5'8.5" on a good day. I've heard that when you go to outer space, you come back and you're taller. I've been thinking about becoming an astronaut for that very reason. Did you experience that? Were you taller when you came back to Earth?
Yes. Well, no, what happens is I'm 5'6" on a hot day, probably 5'5" on a regular day, but on a hot day, I'm 5'6". But what happens is you're here in 1G, and so your spine gets compressed with your own body weight. Okay, so when you go up into a microgravity environment, that weight is not burdened on your spine, and so you do get a little taller, but it's very little. It's millimeters. It's not. I mean, you still need elevator shoes if you really want to be tall. But it's very small. And the bad news is when you come back on Earth, it goes back to normal.
All right, well, I'm not going to be an astronaut then. I give up. I quit.
Did that feel good though? Like because I'm an ex-athlete, so I got a lot of back issues. You go to chiropractors, but did it feel good to like have the spine elongated a little? Like I would think that would feel really good because I mean a lot of people that's what they do. They go to chiropractors to get that relief from the tension and that gravity puts on the spine. Did it feel good?
Yeah, I'm not sure it feels good. I've heard from our taller astronauts because I think the shorter we are, the less it affects us.
Right.
The taller you are, the more it affects you. And I had heard that more times than not, it feels uncomfortable for the tall folks. It's an uncomfortable decompression of the spine for them. It doesn't feel good. It's actually uncomfortable. So it's quite the opposite from what I've heard.
Wow.
Okay. I've got a good friend of mine. He's 6'4", Scott Parazinski. And he said he complained of lower back problems when he was up there because of the elongation of the spine.
Whoa. So as far as like the future of space travel, like I know there's a lot of sci-fi out there. There's a lot of, SpaceX. There's a lot of ambitious minds. What do you feel is actually plausible for the next step for us as just humanity to take the next step? And what do you think the next step is? Is it another moon landing? Is Mars even plausible in our lifetime? Or what do you feel?
Well, let's take it piece by piece first, okay? Let's take first the science route, okay? We still gotta be exploring space and developing technology. This is where NASA comes in and their partners. Some of them can be from private industry, but I think the next step is that NASA is going to return back to the moon. They have the Artemis rocket. It's kind of like an Apollo rocket capsule. Apollo rocket. They call it Apollo on steroids because it's much more powerful. And that one is going to return to the moon. We have a crewed mission, Artemis 2. We already sent Artemis 1 around the moon, but had no people. Next year, we're going to send Artemis 2 with people. And in 2.5 years, about 2 years, we're going to send Artemis 3 with people, and we're going to land on the moon. And one of them is going to be a woman. So NASA's pretty excited about that. And so what we're going to do is once we return to the moon, we're basically going to develop a long duration lunar base on the moon and develop technologies that eventually will allow us to go to Mars and beyond. I think we're 2 years away from being on the moon, and we're about 15, 16 years away from sending someone to the surface of Mars. which is pretty
Wow.
exciting.
Mm.
Now let's talk about the private side. Let's talk about the private side of space exploration. You got the Blue Origins, you got the SpaceX of the worlds, you got the Virgin Galactics, and these guys are developing technologies and vehicles so that we can take tourism up into space. And right now it's a millionaire's game because it costs a lot of money. But the airline industry was like that in the early stages too. And eventually prices came down. I mean, the price point's never going to be the price point of an airplane ticket, but it will come down to the point where you can make a decision. Do I buy a new car or do I experience going into space for a couple of days? I think that's what could be the decision in the future for space tourism itself. So I think I'm very excited. And the way I look at it is the more private industry invests in space exploration, that's the less you and I as a taxpayer have to invest.
I'm gonna wait till Spirit Airlines develops a branch of space exploration.
Oh no, you don't want Spirit.
You have to pay extra for oxygen once you get up there. Yeah.
Each tortilla costs you a little more money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
You can't
I'm
use the
gonna sell
bathroom.
you a $100 tortilla, dude.
Yeah. I'm interested in buying it. This might be a dumb question, but I've never been to space, so I don't know the answer to it. On Earth, when you navigate, you use Earth coordinates as your basis for how you're getting from point A to point B. It's all in reference to other things that you're around. When you're in space, what do you use to navigate?
Ways.
Same thing our sailors used to do in the 1700s. You use the stars. The stars are what you use to navigate around. And they even teach us how to use that device that sailors use, because that's in case our computers break or something, we have to know how to use that. And so we have one of those on board in the event we need to use it. Our computers go down.
All right, interesting. And so you're confirming.
Well, it's not a dumb question. It's actually a great question.
So I know. Thank you. I appreciate that. I know you have another interview coming up right now. So this is going to be my last question for you. How much did NASA pay you to come back to Earth and not tell everybody that the Earth is flat?
Yeah, I see. What's your name? The one with the fake
Billy.
Billy.
Billy thinks
This is a
everything's
shirt we make.
I know. I saw Billy's shirt, and I said when I first saw it, I said I think he's gonna be my favorite guy. And then I read it, and it's the NASA meatball, and it says fake.
He had some questions he was too afraid to ask you, but yeah.
Man,
No,
don't tell me you belong to that group.
No, I'm not a flat earther.
Yeah,
I'm not a flat earther. I just have a lot of questions.
I would just say, look at the data, man. I was out there, and believe me, the Earth is round. I went around it 217 times. So that's what I would tell people. I say, you all need to wake up and smell the roses, because the Earth is round.
217
No,
your face, Ferdinand Magellan.
Yeah, really. That's a lot of time.
No, the Earth is definitely round. But I have a couple more questions. Maybe two stupid questions.
Bill, we got to wrap up. I just said he's got another interview coming up right now.
Just ask him. You can ask one more. You can ask one more.
Some astronauts who come back to Earth, such as Brian O'Leary and Al Warden, come back with some pretty radical statements on where they think humanity comes from, whether humanity has contact with aliens. Do you have any opinions on these matters?
I don't. I mean, I think there's the possibility of life out of our solar system. I think it would be too egotistical to think we're the only ones in the universe. So I think there's a possibility of life. And if they've come to visit us, I think they're so advanced, they probably leave us alone because we're so primitive. So from that perspective, I say, yes, the possibility is. Having said that, I'm a scientist. Have I seen something? No, I haven't seen anything. Now, a lot of my guys, a lot of the astronauts, sometimes they're out of the limelight for 30, 40 years, and they say, well, let me get myself back in the limelight and say, hey, I saw something. So maybe 30 years from now, you'll hear from me and say, hey, I saw something, but it's only because I want attention. All right.
All right.
That's a
great answer.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for
All right,
joining us,
guys.
man. I appreciate
I really enjoy being in Barstool, guys. I really do enjoy you guys. Thank you very much, huh?
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. A million miles away. You can watch it on Prime Video.
Prime Video, number one in the world right now.
Let's go. Let's make it number one in the universe. Jose Hernandez, appreciate you joining us. Confirmed 5'6" and 3 millimeters tall. At one point. All right. Take care, man.